Chapter 368. Buzz. Just as the devouring sky demon emperor suppressed Chunan, the clear sky treasure mirror hovering above the Big Dipper hall spun and shot out a crystal light, revealing Fong Qingshan's figure. Greetings, Taoist! The devouring sky demon emperor, Song Yingzi, and Luo Shuaibei hurriedly greeted. Thank you for your hard work. Fong Qingshan nodded and thanked the three. These are all things that we should do. The devouring sky demon emperor smiled and waved his hand, handing the three crystal balls that sealed Chunan, the Dishi scepter, and the Star Emperor Dragon bed to Fong Qingshan. The devouring sky demon emperor did not kill Chunan immediately. This was something that Fong Qingshan had already instructed. The main reason was that this was the limitless Star Palace, a place that was more powerful than the Greater One sect. Although Fong Qingshan was audacious enough to attack the Big Dipper Hall Master here, this was all planned and carried out on the basis of not alerting others. But if he killed Chunan, the situation would be very different. This was not alerting the enemy, but directly dropping an atomic bomb, and the entire limitless Star Palace would riot because of this. Although Qiongqi was around, his strength had not fully recovered. Not only did the limitless Star Palace have existences comparable to immortals, but they also had immortal weapons. Once they were alerted, Fong Qingshan and the others would definitely suffer a great loss. Moreover, when Fong Qingshan and the others first came in, they did not see Fong Qingwei. Once Chu Nan was killed, Fong Qingwei would most likely be in danger. This was definitely something that Fong Qingshan did not want to see. Therefore, Fong Qingshan decided to spare Chunan's life for now and see what would happen in the future. Knock, knock, knock. At this moment, someone knocked on the door of the Big Dipper Hall. What's the matter? When Fong Qingshan and the others heard this, although his voice was soft, it was like a muffled clap of thunder in their hearts. Their bodies stiffened, thinking that they had been exposed. Fortunately, the enemy hadn't attacked. Only then did they breathe a sigh of relief. Fong Qingshan hurriedly gave Luo Shuaibei a meaningful glance. Luo Shuaibei understood and hurriedly pretended to be very unwilling as he spoke to the people outside the hall. Can't you see that young master is busy? The person outside the room obviously misunderstood, thinking that Chunan was having a he moment, and hurriedly said, under the young master's orders, I have brought Fong Qingwei here. Hearing this, Fong Qingshan's eyes immediately lit up. He was just worrying about where Fong Qingwei was, and now he had a pillow when he was sleepy. Bring it in. With a creak, the doors of the Big Dipper Hall opened, revealing Luo Shuaibei's somewhat unhappy figure. The people outside the hall didn't even dare to look inside. They pushed Fong Qingwei in and left with their heads lowered. Seeing this, Fong Qingwei coldly snorted. Although she was a prisoner, she didn't feel inferior. Her arrogance was like a winter plum. Boom! The doors of the Big Dipper Hall closed again, and Luo Shuaibei walked in with Fong Qingwei. Kill me or torture me. Do as you wish. If you want me to be your concubine, you'd better give up. Fong Qingwei didn't even look up at Chunan, and before anyone could speak, she spoke first. Really? But at this time, I'm afraid it's not up to you. Seeing this, a faint smile appeared on Fong Qingshan's face. He didn't immediately look at the person and said, If you touch me, I will immediately commit suicide. Fong Qingwei trembled slightly. Although the voice sounded a little familiar, she didn't think much of it, and said resolutely, Don't worry, I won't touch you, and you don't have to commit suicide. Otherwise, if big uncle and big sister ask about it, how am I going to explain it? Fong Qingshan's voice sounded again. Hearing this, Fong Qingwei was stunned at first. Then she looked up and saw Fong Qingshan looking at her with a smile. Beside him stood Luo Shuaibei, Song Yingying, and the devouring sky demon emperor. Third brother, why are you here? Could it be that you were also captured? What should I do? Seeing Fong Qingshan, Fong Qingwei was suddenly stunned and then became anxious. She was no longer as cold as before, and she was determined to commit suicide. Well, second sister, don't worry, I wasn't captured, and Chunan was also suppressed by me. You're safe now. Fang Qingshan lifted his hand and pointed, breaking the seal in her body. How is this possible? Fang Qingwei was stunned. Ever since she was captured by Chu Nan, Fang Qingwei had the will to die, especially when she was just sent over. She made up her mind that if anything went wrong, she would commit suicide. How could he have known that happiness would come so suddenly? His third brother, who was originally in the Xianhuang world, had suddenly appeared before him. Initially, he was worried that he might have been captured. However, after hearing his words, he was even more dumbfounded. However, seeing Luo Shuaibei and Song Yingying standing respectfully beside Fang Qingshan and Chu Nan disappearing, Fang Qingwei gradually believed it and regained her rationality. Fang Qingwei moved her stiff body after being sealed for a while. Thoughts spun madly in her mind. Third brother, Chunan wasn't killed, right? How is that possible? If he was killed, would we still be able to stay here calmly? Fang Qingshan said with a smile. That's good. Fang Qingwei breathed a sigh of relief, then urged, in that case, this is also a place of trouble. We can't stay for long. Third brother, let's leave immediately. Otherwise, once Limitless Star Palace finds out that something is wrong, we won't be able to escape. As if afraid that Fang Qingshan didn't know the danger, Fang Qingwei said again, Limitless Star Palace is a more terrifying sect than Greater One sect. Astral Sect is just a branch of them. Not only do they have immortal weapons, but they also have immortals. Third brother, don't be careless. Let's leave quickly. Second sister, don't worry, I know. Fang Qingshan comforted Fang Qingwei with a smile. But since I'm already here, it's not right if I don't make a good profit. Since Fang Qingwei had been rescued, Fang Qingshan's pressure was also gone. What he needed to do now was to make a good profit. Although Limitless Star Palace was dangerous, as long as he didn't encounter those supreme elders, with Chu Nan's status, there should be no problem. No matter how strong the castle was, it was easy to destroy it from the inside. Therefore, what Fang Qingshan needed to do now was to enlighten Chu Nan. However, he didn't intend to let him live. After all, he almost harmed Fang Qingwei. The reason why he didn't kill him now was because he still had value. Once he was used, it wouldn't be too late to deal with him. To enlighten Chu Nan was much more difficult than to enlighten Song Yingying and the others. After all, he had an immortal body. Fortunately, Fang Qingshan's cultivation was higher than his, and he had the experience of enlightening the devouring sky demon emperor Qiongqi. Therefore, it took some time, and he succeeded in enlightening Chu Nan. Then, he naturally had to heal his injuries and restore his strength to avoid being seen through. Chapter 369. Just as Fang Qingshan was purifying Chu Nan and preparing to plunder the Limitless Star Palace, a storm was brewing outside the Limitless World. Countless demons gathered from all directions, including Fang Han's backers, the ancient giant demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss, the first person in 3,000 years Venerable Ling Long, the mysterious demon Heart Old Man, and so on. All of them had come to the Limitless World. These people united for only one purpose, and that was to rob the fundamental treasure of the Limitless Star Palace, the primordial chaos Wuji diagram. This was an immortal weapon similar to the eternal immortal furnace of the Greater One sect. It possessed great power, and with the immortals in charge of the Limitless Star Palace, it could be said to be impregnable. However, there was nothing absolute in this world. Demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss, Demon Heart Old Man, and Venerable Ling Long were all figures that could suppress an era. When they joined forces, even the Limitless Star Palace had to treat them with caution, or they would be suspected of failing miserably. Moreover, the primordial chaos Wuji diagram of the Limitless Star Palace had a problem. This matter had to be related to the previous generation Sanus of the Limitless Star Palace and the sect master of the emergent sect, Feng Baiyu. It was unknown how the two of them hooked up. Later, the Saintus used a method that consumed a large amount of Yuan Qi from the primordial chaos Wuji diagram. As a result, the primordial chaos Wuji diagram had yet to recover. The reason why Feng Baiyu was able to rise so quickly, suppress all outstanding heroes, and lead the emergent sect to chase after the greater one sect. Besides the Sky Emperor mirror, the assistance of the primordial chaos Wuji diagram was also indispensable. It was precisely because the previous generation Saintess consumed a large amount of Yuan Qi of the primordial chaos Wuji diagram that gave Demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss the opportunity to gather all the demons and demons, as well as experts such as Demon Heart Old Man and Venerable Linglong. They were prepared to kill their way into the limitless Star Palace and seize the immortal weapon. Now Demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss was in the underground world of the limitless Star Palace. At this moment, Fang Qingshan was in the Big Dipper Hall, hesitating about where to rob. Although the Big Dipper Hall was nominally the territory of the limitless Star Palace, it had become Chu Nan's domain. All the treasures were in his private vault, so there was no need for Fang Qingshan to rob. As for the limitless Star Palace, aside from the primordial chaos everlasting diagram, there were 3 other important places. One of them was the Inheritance Hall. The disciples of Limitless Star Palace were promoted step by step, and they all came here to pay contribution points. Also, they used contribution points to exchange for the cultivation method of the divine ability. This was equivalent to the duties of the Heaven's Emergent Sex technique imparting Elder, but it was more extensive. The second was the Treasure Hall, where all kinds of magic treasures of the Limitless Star Palace were stored. Of course, the most powerful ones were only upper grade. As for peerless grade, each of them was an earth-shattering existence. They were either in the hands of the Supreme Elders or kept in the secret vault. However, even young Master Chu Nin did not know about that place. The third was the Pure Yang Hall, which was equivalent to Fang Qingshan's Heaven Lake. However, the Pure Yang Hall, as the name suggested, was constructed entirely out of pure Yang Qi. The elixirs were all pure Yang pills. Compared to Fang Qingshan's Heaven Lake, it was a notch higher. If Fang Qingshan wanted to make a profit, he only needed to choose one of these 3 places to start. As for why he did not rob all of them, it was because he did not have enough time. Fang Qingshan thought about it and felt that he could first exclude the Inheritance Hall. The most precious things in the Inheritance Hall were nothing more than some divine ability, and the most powerful Infinite Stars book was definitely not in it. Just like the Emergent Sect, the Inheritance Hall and the Skill-Imparting Elder only contained Dao techniques that were similar to the Emergent Sect's 8 great magical powers. The real fundamental Dao techniques, like the Great Yin-Yang technique, were definitely not among them. There should be an existence similar to the White Sun soaring scripture that was mastered by the Supreme Elder. Young Master Chu Nan's divine ability was completely comparable to the Inheritance Hall. Why would Fang Qingshan take the extra step? After all, young Master Chu Nan not only had the Great Star Technique, but also the Great Devouring Technique, the Great Protection Technique, the Great Entanglement Technique, the Great Freezing Technique, and so on. It was simply a moving Inheritance Hall. Therefore, the Inheritance Hall was of little value to Fang Qingshan. It was tasteless and a pity to discard. Of course, he had to eliminate it first. Now, Fang Qingshan was hesitating whether to go to the Pure Yang Hall or the Treasure Hall. To him, these 2 places were treasures. The Pure Yang Hall could obtain endless pure Yang Qi. Not only could it speed up the recovery of Qiang Qi, but he also did not have to worry about the lack of spiritual power for future breakthroughs. As for the Treasure Hall, although Fang Qingshan already had the All-Heaven Sword and the Tai 5 Smoke Net, one for attack and one for defense, he no longer needed those magic weapons that were no higher than the upper grade Dao instrument. However, he was not interested in the magic weapons, but those materials were not bad. He could completely smelt them and use them to enhance the magic weapons and divine ability after returning to the origin. Forget it. Let's go to the Pure Yang Hall. Fang Qingshan did not hesitate for long. He made up his mind to go to the Pure Yang Hall. The main reason for this was that the Pure Yang Immortal Qi of the Pure Yang Hall was a panacea. Not only could it speed up the recovery of Qiang Qi's strength, but he did not have to worry about the lack of Immortal Qi for breakthroughs in the future. At the same time, he could also condense it into pure Yang pills to exchange for what he wanted. As for the Treasure Hall, if he wanted the treasures of heaven and earth, he would have to spend a lot of effort to return to the origin. It was troublesome. If he could get both, there was naturally nothing to say. If he could only choose one of them, then it was reasonable for Fong Qingshan to choose the pure Yang Hall. Let's go. Fong Qingshan swept the clear sky treasure mirror and took in the devouring sky demon emperor and the others. Then he went in. Then the clear sky treasure mirror was like an eyeball, embedded in the middle of young Master Chu Nan's eyebrows. Young Master Chu Nan pushed open the door of the Big Dipper Hall and flew straight to the Pure Yang Hall. The Pure Yang Hall was one of the most important places in the Limitless Star Palace. It was shrouded by distorted space, and there were countless array formations set up in it. If one were to barge in, not to mention the experts of the Limitless Star Palace, even the experts of the Grotto Heaven and Cosmic Light Realm would not be able to return. Fortunately, at this moment, it was young Master Chu Nan, the Big Dipper Hall Master, who was on the same side. These array formations naturally would not stop him, and he came to the door of the Pure Yang Hall unimpeded. Greetings, young Master Chu Nan. You are here for the Pure Yang Pill. Seeing the arrival of young Master Chu Nan, everyone in front of the Pure Yang Hall made way for him. The people of the Pure Yang Hall also wanted to come over and serve him personally. After all, not only was he an expert with the undying body, but he was also the Big Dipper Hall Master and the father of the Astral Arch. Although they did not know why such a person would come to the Pure Yang Hall personally, it was absolutely not a problem to treat him well. If they could get on his good side, their meteoric rise would be just around the corner. Chapter 370. Young Master Chu Nan snorted softly. His eyes were full of arrogance, but no one else thought that there was anything wrong with this. I'm about to break through to the Tao Insight realm, and I need a lot of pure Yang elixirs, so I'm here to exchange. It turns out that young Master is going to break through to the Tao Insight realm. Congratulations! Young Master is really talented. Yes, young Master will be the leader of Wuji Star Palace in the future. As soon as young Master Chu Nan said this, the surrounding people were shocked, followed by flattery. All right, all of you can leave. Young Master Chu Nan enjoyed it for a while, then waved his hand impatiently. Yes, the others were tactful and left the Pure Yang Great Hall one after another. For a time, there was no one else in front of the Pure Yang Hall except for young Master Chu Nan. Even the ancient giant who guarded the Pure Yang Hall didn't pay much attention, lest it cause young Master Chu Nan to misunderstand. Stepping into the hall, he came to a square and saw 3,000 ancient giant dragons formed by pure Yang Qi. It was not inferior to the immortal mountain floating island in the golden immortal hall of Emergence Sect. Ordinary disciples who came to exchange for pure Yang elixirs only needed to take out their identity token and earn some contribution points. The pure Yang True Dragon would spit out the corresponding pure Yang elixirs. However, since Fong Qingshan was here to make a profit, he naturally wouldn't be interested in the elixirs that could be exchanged with contribution points. His goal was to collect all 3,000 pure Yang giant dragons. He even wanted to go deep into the pure Yang Sea connected by the pure Yang True Dragon to make a fortune. That was the real core of the Pure Yang Hall. However, that place was not a big deal. Even young Master Chu Nan couldn't enter. Even these pure Yang dragons weren't that easy to collect. These pure Yang dragons were condensed by pure Yang Qi. After a long time, they became deities and were extremely powerful. Moreover, they could continuously replenish their Yuan Qi with pure Yang force from the deeper parts of the Pure Yang Hall. In terms of strength, a single dragon was almost comparable to an ancient giant. That was not the most important thing. The most amazing thing was that these giant dragons could work together to set up a formation. The Limitless Star Palace was just a group of Jindan stage disciples, but the Limitless Star Array they set up could already trap an ancient giant. If these 3,000 pure Yang True Dragons were to awaken and set up the array, how powerful would it be? Perhaps even a Grotto Heaven Realm expert would not be able to return. Therefore, Fong Qingshan did not dare to act recklessly. The Hall of Pure Yang was the most important place in the Limitless Star Palace. Its status was comparable to the Sun Moon Palace and the Purple Myrtle Palace. The palace master had even cultivated to the half-step grotto heaven realm. Once he activated the 3,000 pure young true dragons, no creature below the creator realm would be able to return. Therefore, Feng Qingshan first instructed young Master Chu Nan to use contribution points to exchange for pure yang pills, and then think of a way to see if there were any flaws. As the son of Star Sovereign and the Hall Master of the Big Dipper Hall, young Master Chu Nan's contributions were astonishing. In the original work, it was said that after Feng Han killed him, he also received 500 million pure yang pills contribution points. One must know that before this, he had spent a lot of contribution points in exchange for Feng Qingwei's opportunity to cultivate in the boundless chaos diagram. However, young Master Chu Nan waved his hand and took out his identity token and swiped it. There was a loud bang. It was as if the Milky Way had fallen from the nine heavens. A river formed by rolling pure yang qi swarmed toward young Master Chu Nan. The pure yang true dragon seemed to have no time to swallow the elixir and was ready to fly out and fall into young Master Chu Nan's hands. Young Master Chu Nan's movement was so big that it naturally alerted the ancient giant of the pure yang hall. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. Then they frowned deeply. They did not expect young Master Chu Nan to be so ruthless that he even wanted to scare away the pure yang true dragon. However, they could not stop him since he was doing things through the proper channels. Of course, this was not the main reason. The main reason was that young Master Chu Nan's identity was different. If he did things through the proper channels, no one could stop him in any way, or the consequences would be unimaginable. Although the Pure Yang Hall was respected and the Pure Yang Hall Master had strong background, he did not want to offend young Master Chu Nan for no reason. Therefore, he thought for a while and waved his hand to say to the others, "Forget it. Since the Big Dipper Hall Master wants to break through to the Grotto Heaven realm, it's understandable for him to expend a lot of energy." As soon as he said that, the rest of the Pure Yang Hall Master heaved a sigh of relief. When immortals fought, mortals suffered. If young Master Chu Nan and the Hall Master were to fight, they would be the unlucky ones in the end. The Pure Yang Hall Master was not in the mood to care about them. The Pure Yang True Dragon was the foundation of the Pure Yang Hall. He could not let young Master Chu Nan take it away. Therefore, when he waved his hand, the Pure Yang True Dragon immediately stabilized. However, the amount of pure yang qi that it breathed suddenly increased. When Feng Qingshan saw that the pure yang true dragon was about to rise to the sky, he was delighted for a moment. However, he immediately felt a mighty force descending and instantly suppressed it. Following that, the flow of the pure yang river suddenly flowed out like a flood. He could not help but feel a little regretful. He knew that the Pure Yang Hall Master had made a move. It seems that unless I let Xiongqi take action, it will be difficult to have any ideas on the Pure Yang True Dragon and the Pure Yang Sea. Feng Qingshan could not help but feel a little distressed. The reason why he let young Master Chu Nan earn so many contribution points at once was to see if he could take the Pure Yang True Dragon. In fact, he was also testing the Pure Yang Hall Master. However, the result was not satisfactory. At this moment, the entire world shook. Dang, 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 dang. Following that, a series of rapid and intense bell sounds suddenly rang. Wuji Golden Bell. This was a treasure of the Wuji Star Palace, a supreme Dao weapon. Unless it was a matter of life and death, it would not be rung casually. Once it was rung, an unimaginable disaster would definitely occur. Now, not only was it rung, but it was also so urgent. The hearts of the people of the Wuji Star Palace suddenly tightened, and an ominous premonition rose in their minds. At the same time, they revealed a look of disbelief. At the same time, the Pure Yang Hall also trembled crazily, as if it was whipped by some force and could not bear the burden. The 3,000 Pure Yang True Dragons seemed to be waking up. In the void, decadent sounds and demonic sounds filled the ears, evoking the endless desires, greed, and sins of all living beings. Under the ancient giants, when faced with such sounds, those who were not geniuses had to suppress it with all their might. As for the disciples below the Golden Core realm, It was as if their minds were instantly controlled, and they began to kill without distinguishing between friend and foe. Waves of dense, demonic chi, like the clouds rising from the southeast, the fog passing through the northwest. In an instant, dark clouds covered the city, and a storm was brewing. Rays of scarlet light shone, like a turbulent sea of blood. At this moment, it was as if the heavenly fiend gods were really descending on the world. Chapter 371. Damn it, what's going on? Someone actually dares to attack Limitless Star Palace. Good. It's been so many years. This is the first time someone has such courage. Kill. If we don't turn the world upside down, it's not enough to show the majesty of Limitless Star Palace. Faced with such a sudden situation, everyone from Limitless Star Palace could not help but be stunned for a moment. After all, how many years had it been? Ever since the Limitless Star Palace had unified the limitless world, it could be said to be arrogant and bossy. Everyone else obeyed them obediently, not daring to slight or offend them in the slightest. However, they had never thought that there would actually be people who would recklessly attack the Limitless Star Palace today. This had far exceeded their expectations, to the point that they had almost failed to react to the first wave of attacks. Damn it! The leader of Pure Yang Hall seemed to have received some news and cursed. He turned his head and said to everyone with a gloomy face, "You guys guard Pure Yang Hall. You guys guard the Pure Yang Hall. I'm one of the primordial, everlasting diagram." As soon as he finished speaking, the leader of Pure Yang Hall disappeared. Obviously, he was in a hurry. At the same time, Chunin also received the order to go to the everlasting chaos diagram and activate the fairy weapon to resist the enemy. In addition to the Supreme Elder, Sect Leader, and Deputy Sect Leader, there were 360 star halls in Limitless Star Palace. These halls were not for decoration, nor were they just used for grouping or organization. Just like the true inheritance peak of Emergent Sect, it was the private space of a true disciple. Once a powerful enemy came to invade, the true inheritance peak would be activated by the true inheritance peak, and they could set up a formation with Emergence Celestial Palace to suppress the enemy. Of course, the inheritance peak of Emergence Sect might have learned from the Star Hall of Limitless Star Palace. After all, Feng Baiyu and the Holy Maiden of Limitless Star Palace had an unclear relationship. However, the Limitless Star Palace was a notch better. All the palace masters gathered in the Limitless Chaos Diagram, an immortal artifact, to coordinate their attacks. Their power was even more concentrated and immense. If it was in the past, Chunan would naturally be duty-bound and even fight to be the first to perform well. But now, other than telling the order to Feng Qingshan, he was indifferent and continued to collect the elixirs. Good. On the other hand, Feng Qingshan, who was originally concealed within the clear sky treasured mirror, was first stunned when he heard this. Then he came to a sudden understanding, and his eyes glowed as he was overjoyed. He recalled that in the original work, it was also mentioned that Scarlet Abyss Demon Venerable Ling Long, Old Man Mental Demon, and a group of top experts from the 3,000 Great Worlds joined forces to attack the Limitless Star Palace. They wanted to seize the primordial chaos everlasting diagram when its vitality was greatly damaged. When the time comes, the heavens and the earth work together, but the lucky hero is not free. He was originally not satisfied with using contribution points to exchange for Pure Yang elixirs. After all, compared to the Pure Yang Hall, the Pure Yang Sea was a drop in the ocean. It made him feel like he had entered a treasure mountain and returned empty-handed. However, there were too many experts in the Pure Yang Hall, so Feng Qingshan did not dare to act rashly. Just as he was thinking about how to plan, the attack of Scarlet Abyss and the others arrived. They were truly godlike teammates. At this moment, the Pure Yang Hall Master was no longer around, and the other ancient giants were only existences in the longevity realm. They cannot be compared to young Master Chunan at all. Feng Qingshan ordered young Master Chu Nan to fly directly towards the true core of the Pure Yang Hall, the Pure Yang Sea, without caring about collecting the Pure Yang True Dragon. Behind the Pure Yang Hall Master was a 1,000 feet tall stone gate. It was simple, mysterious, heavy, and emitted a majestic aura, giving people an unshakable feeling, as if they were facing a primordial sacred mountain. It was like a huge mountain suddenly erected in front of a river, directly blocking the road ahead. It was densely covered with all kinds of restriction talismans, revealing a peerless, ferocious power, as if it was breeding some kind of ferocious fetus. Not to mention breaking through, just a glance at it would make one's mind tremble, and even their soul would feel as if it was being penetrated. This stone gate led to the core of the Pure Yang Hall, the place where the pure Yang Sea was. There was a death trap set up on it. Even an ancient giant would be killed in an instant if they touched it without a defensive treasure. Young Master Chu Nan was obviously not an ordinary ancient giant, and he had a defensive treasure. Most importantly, his identity was not to be underestimated. Boom! Young Master Chu Nan waved his hand, and the Dishi scepter appeared in his hand, emitting endless authority. Without any hesitation, young Master Chu Nan directly raised the scepter and smashed it at the stone gate. At this moment, he was like the king of the stars, like the emperor of the celestial race, looking down on the world, looking down on the heroes, and seeing all living beings as ants with power over their lives and deaths. Dang! A resonant voice rang out. Young Master Chu Nan used the cultivation of the immortal body to activate the Dishi scepter, a superior grade Dao artifact, so its power was naturally not to be underestimated. The stone door trembled, and the void trembled. Large swathes of the void collapsed, and the space shattered. The restrictive spell formations on the stone door were all activated. Streaks of sword chi almost pierced out of the body. On the stone gate, the most powerful restriction was called the Tai Chi Duality Sword Array. Formed by more than 300,000 flying swords, it was comparable to the Heavenly Sword Sect's Heavenly Sword Array and the Freedom Sword Array of the Ascension Sect. However, the activation of this array required the ancient giants of Pure Yang Hall to activate it. If it was someone else, there was nothing to say. The ancient giants of Pure Yang Hall would have already activated the array to blast the intruder into pieces. However, they were facing the Big Dipper Hall Master, young Master Chu Nan, the son of the Star Emperor, and their Hall Master was not around. Therefore, these people hesitated. They did not activate the Tai Chi Duality Sword Array immediately. Young Master Chu Nan, why don't you go into the Boundless Chaos diagram and activate the Immortal Treasure to defend against the intruder? Instead, you attack the Pure Yang Hall for no reason. What are you doing? Although the ancient giants of Pure Yang Hall did not counterattack young Master Chu Nan, they issued a warning, hoping that young Master Chu Nan would back off. If you attack again, what about you? At this time, you are still not opening the stone gate and releasing the pure Yang Ocean. You are so conservative. The limitless Star Palace is ruined in the hands of people like you. Without waiting for them to finish, young Master Chu Nan scolded them. Quickly open the stone gate and let me break through. Every moment of delay is a great loss to the limitless Star Palace. Hearing young Master Chu Nan's words, the ancient giants who stayed behind were stunned. They could not be blamed for their hesitation. At the end of the day, it was the difference in status. Even if young Master Chu Nan broke the gate and looted the pure Yang Ocean, it would only be a major demerit. They would only be guilty of negligence. If they stopped him, although they were doing their duty, they would offend young Master Chu Nan. At that time, with his status in the limitless Star Palace, it would be too easy for him to deal with them. As for young Master Chu Nan, without hesitation, he waved the Emperor's scepter in his hand and executed the celestial race's God Emperor's secret art. He struck the stone gate 9 times. Chapter 372. Crack. A crisp sound came from the stone door, and a faint hair-like crack appeared. Young Master Chu Nan had an immortal body and a high-grade Dao artifact, like the Dishi scepter. The staff technique that he executed was comparable to a God Emperor's unique skill. The power was simply too great. What about the Pure Yang Palace? Because he had misgivings, he did not dare to activate the formation with all his might. This meant that he had given up on his greatest advantage. After all, The strongest part of the stone gate was the Tai Chi Yin-Yang sword formation. Once this sword formation was activated, it could directly strangle an undying expert. Under such circumstances, Chunin immediately seized the opportunity to break the restriction. The stone door was on the verge of collapse, and the cracks were expanding like a spider web. The first spurt of energy, the second spurt of energy, the third exhaustion. Young Master Chu Nan naturally would not give the Pure Yang Palace a chance to make up for it, and they also half-heartedly gave in. Rumble. Under young Master Chu Nan's all-out attack, the entire stone door suddenly exploded into thousands of pieces. Although the stone door was open, there was an even more powerful array behind it. Eternal Extreme Heavenly Jade Formation. As soon as young Master Chu Nan stepped in, he felt that his entire body seemed to have stopped. Whether it was his body or his primordial spirit, even his 3,000 great Tao mystical powers were suppressed to the point that it was as if he was using the turtle breathing technique. This formation involved the laws of time. Anyone below the 4th level of the longevity realm, without the support of a peerless Tao artifact, would be like a fish on the chopping board if they were to fall into it. Although young Master Chu Nan had the Star Emperor Dragon Bed and the Dishi Scepter, these two high-grade Tao artifacts, they were still stretched thin under the attack of the power of time. Every drop was the gravel of time. Spatial tempests pressed down on Chu Nan. Every time he moved, he had to expend a great deal of energy. Time was supreme. Space was king. This was no laughing matter. There were no comparable laws, such as fate, karma, or samsara. If one wanted to contend against the power of time, there was no other way to do so. Fortunately, Chu Nan was not fighting alone. Space is king, piercing through time. At that moment, the clear sky treasure mirror on Chu Nan's forehead moved. A ray of clear divine light instantly radiated from the void, illuminating the heavens and traversing the stars. Wang, the surrounding formation, trembled slightly and directly stopped moving. Endless power could not be unleashed at all. There were many reasons why there was such an immediate effect. First of all, only the Pure Yang Palace Master could activate this time array. Once he left, the array could only operate on its own. Naturally, it was not as exquisite as a person controlling it. Not to mention that its power was halved, it had at least lost 30% of its power. This was also the reason why Fong Qingshan suddenly helped Chu Nan. Inside the Time Grand Array, the other ancient giants were completely unable to see the changes happening inside. If they didn't put in more effort at this time, wouldn't they be wasting a great opportunity? Then there was the Clear Sky Treasure Mirror. It was a spatial treasure, and its space laws could resist time laws. Of course, no matter how good a magic treasure was, it still depended on the person using it. The one who activated the Clear Sky Treasure Mirror was not Fong Qingshan, but the heaven-devouring evil emperor. The reason why he didn't let Xiongqi take action was because it was overkill. At this moment, Xiongqi was using the pure yang elixir that he had exchanged previously to restore his strength. Moreover, the heaven-devouring evil emperor was more than enough. Once the Time Grand Array was broken, Chu Nan used the greater teleportation technique and instantly appeared on the pure yang sea. The appearance of the sea was naturally not unfamiliar to Fong Qingshan. He had seen the ancient Haven Palace's Sky River, and now the Heaven Lake was in his hands. He had seen the Emergent Sect's Golden Immortal Palace, and the 3,000 Pure Yang True Dragons in front of the Pure Yang Palace. However, none of these were as shocking as seeing the Pure Yang Sea. It was so huge that one couldn't see the end of it. The sea and sky were the same color. The most important thing was that the entire sea was constructed with pure yang qi. The seawater was not ordinary water, but the power of pure yang. It was the 9 solar holy water. Even with Fong Qingshan's wealth, he couldn't help but be stunned when he saw this sea. Pure yang qi, 9 solar holy water. These were things that ancient giants could only condense with great effort. Usually, it wasn't even enough for themselves. However, there was a vast sea here. How extravagant was this? What a great limitless star palace. The black-yellow great world has indeed declined. Fang Qingshan was sure that even the Greater One sect absolutely did not have such a foundation. No wonder even the Astral sect was a branch of the Greater One sect. No wonder even Feng Baiyu, a proud son of the heavens, was affected by the Greater One sect. Fortunately, Fang Qingshan knew that this was a rare opportunity, so he did not lament for long. Almost instantly, he returned to his senses. Then he waved his hand and summoned Qiong Qi, the devouring demon emperor, Fan Qingying, Song Ying, Luo Shuai, and the others. Following that, the clear sky treasured mirror, the 9 doubts cauldron, the myriad heaven sword, the Tai 5 smoky net, the heaven grudge compass, the star monarch dragon bed, the dishy scepter, the world tree, the heavenly lake, and many other supreme treasures were taken out. For a time, everyone had one or more supreme treasures, and they were activated at the same time. Woo 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 woo. Waves of Dharma power were transmitted from everyone's body and the magic treasures. Each of them occupied a corner and enveloped the entire pure Yang Sea. Then, black holes were formed one after another, swallowing the heavens and the earth. The power of pure Yang and 9 solar holy water were immediately sucked up and turned into tornadoes that rose straight up. Among them, the ones with the greatest momentum were Qiongqi and Fang Qingshan. Qiongqi revealed his true form. He was like a tiger or a bull, with a pair of wings on his back, hair like a hedgehog, and scales. When he opened his mouth and swallowed, he was not much weaker than the Koan Peng. Like returning to the void, he swallowed a piece of the sea. Qiongqi's realm was the highest, so it was not surprising that he had such momentum. And the reason why Fang Qingshan could match him and surpass the devouring sky demon emperor was because of the world tree. It was unknown how long it had been since the world tree made a big profit. At this moment, all its roots were withdrawn from the myriad heavens world and plunged into the pure Yang Sea. The world tree grew at a speed visible to the naked eye, taking root, sprouting, growing leaves, growing taller and thicker. This had already formed a virtuous cycle. The more the world tree swallowed, the faster it grew. The stronger it grew, the more tyrannical its devouring power became. In addition, the devouring power of the clear sky treasured mirror and the 9 doubts cauldron was not to be underestimated. In the hands of the devouring sky demon emperor, they were second only to Qiongqi and Fang Qingshan. This was a gluttonous feast. Above the pure Yang Sea, a boundless storm was set off and a strange wind howled. The places where the magic treasures were seemed to have collapsed into a black hole, and a huge amount of 9 solar, holy water disappeared into thin air. Even with the vastness of the pure Yang Sea, it could not withstand the devouring of Fang Qingshan and the others. Not long after, they realized that the level of the sea kept dropping and a huge amount of 9 solar holy water disappeared at every moment. Chapter 373. Limitless Star Palace. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Inside and outside, from top to bottom, almost everyone was fighting. War raged. Demons ran amok. Starlight shone brightly. Murderous intent was like a mountain, and baleful qi was like the sea. Disciples were dying at every moment, and thousands upon thousands of demons were being slaughtered. What was supposed to be a holy land for cultivation had now become an Azura retreat. But the higher-ups of Limitless Star Palace couldn't care less. Although junior disciples were important, that was just potential. It was just that they had successors. The true foundation of a sect was still the giants. At this moment, the magnates of the Limitless Star Palace were basically all gathered in the primordial chaos Wuji diagram, activating this supreme treasure to fight against Archdevil Venerable Scarlet Abyss, the 8 demon sages, Old Man Heart Demon, Venerable Ling Long, and the others. As long as they could repel them, they could easily destroy the tens of thousands of demons that were wreaking havoc. If they could not repel them, and the boundless primordial chaos diagram was destroyed and taken away, even if none of their disciples died, would the Limitless Star Palace still be the Limitless Star Palace? Those who liked to fight would die. Those who forgot to fight would be in danger. Actually, the reason why Limitless Star Palace ended up in such a situation was not only because of the everlasting chaos diagram, but also because of their mentality. The Limitless Star Palace unified the limitless world and was respected by the entire world. It could be said that they could get whatever they wanted. Any Golden Core disciple who went out would be treated with respect by all the big shots of the ancient times. It had always been them who took advantage of others and bullied others. But as long as their disciples suffered the slightest grievance, they would strike with lightning speed. Under such circumstances, 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, or even 100 years wouldn't be a problem. But what about 1,000 years or 10,000 years? Time was the most powerful thing. It could silently and imperceptibly change you, so much so that you wouldn't be able to notice anything. After so many years in such an environment, Limitless Star Palace was no longer as vigilant as before. When they were ambushed by demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss, they only hurriedly mobilized all the Supreme Elders and Palace Masters to activate the everlasting chaos diagram. If not for Limitless Star Palace's deep foundation, experts, and immortal equipment, they would have been defeated long ago. Of course, if they didn't have such a foundation, they wouldn't be so arrogant to the point of losing their vigilance. Therefore, every peck and every drink was predestined. Fortunately, none of this had anything to do with Fong Qingshan. Moreover, this was a golden opportunity for him. If it wasn't for the Limitless Star Palace being in trouble, he wouldn't have been able to enter the pure Yang Palace Hall, let alone steal the 9 solar holy water. Apart from the clear sky treasured mirror and the 9 suspicions cauldron, Fong Qingshan's harvest from the pure Yang Ocean could be said to be his greatest harvest. It was even better than what he had obtained in the Ancient Haven Palace. After all, even when the Ancient Haven Palace was at its peak, its foundation might not be comparable to this pure Yang Ocean, not to mention the Ancient Haven Palace that had been abandoned. At this moment, Fong Qingshan was crazily devouring the pure Yang energy, but he gradually fell into a state of enlightenment. However, Fong Qingshan stood tall and floated above the pure Yang sea. His eyes seemed to be closed, and he spat out the sound of golden jade. The void responded, and there were fireworks and silver flowers. Colorful lights flew, and it was a sight to behold. The ground was enshrouded in a dense fragrance. Most importantly, the clear sky treasured mirror that was originally in the hands of the devouring sky monarch seemed to have been summoned. With a swoosh, it flew over from the devouring sky monarch's hand and floated above Fong Qingshan's head. A misty green brilliance sprinkled down, and water-like ripples appeared in the void, spreading in all directions. Vaguely, there seemed to be a heavenly sound. Fan Qingying, Luo Shuibei, and the others were a little confused because they couldn't understand it. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't grasp it. It felt like they were listening to it with their left ear and exiting from their right ear. However, in the ears of Fong Qingshan and even Chu Nan, it was like the sound of the great Tao, passed down by Hongjun Tiandao. The two of them were almost immersed in it. Only Qiongqi and the devouring sky monarch knew that it was the law of space. Without reaching that realm, it was impossible to comprehend it, let alone a top-notch law like the law of space. The reason why Fong Qingshan suddenly comprehended the great Tao was that he had already reached the half-step grotto heaven realm. After refining the clear sky treasured mirror, he could have broken through when he was in the emergent sect. However, because he broke through too quickly, his foundation was shaken. Therefore, Fong Qingshan didn't rush to break through and came out to look for opportunities. Dragonwood Star, the battle with Su Xiui. Passing through the spatial barrier between the Xianwang Great World and the Boundless World. More importantly, after entering the pure Yang Sea, the boundless pure Yang power was devoured by the 9 solar holy water. 1 power to break 10,000 laws. 1 power to defeat 10 techniques. With the help of this surging power, Fong Qingshan broke through the barrier of the grotto heaven realm. Moreover, Fong Qingshan wasn't the only one who benefited. The world tree, the clear sky treasured mirror, the 9 doubts cauldron, the all-heaven sword, the Tai 5 smoky net, and other peerless treasures also felt like they were soaking in a hot spring in the winter. All the pores on his body opened up and overflowed with the power of the world, allowing Feng Qingshan to have a clearer understanding of the law of space. In addition, there was the support of the all-heaven chessboard's power of providence. Therefore, Feng Qingshan fell into a rare state of comprehension. Young Master Chu Nan just happened to be at the right time and benefited from Feng Qingshan's light. For a moment, Feng Qingshan only felt as if a golden bell and drum were ringing in his mind. A mysterious thought emerged and blossomed with unparalleled light. Looking from afar, one could see that Feng Qingshan's entire body was brimming with a mysterious and marvelous aura. One could not see his physical body, nor could one see his origin spirit. There were only glowing runes hanging high in the void, shining with octagonal light that illuminated the universe. Every time the rune rotated, there would be a cool aura spreading around, and Feng Qingshan's understanding of the law of space became more profound. Looking at flowers in the fog, looking at the moon in the water. Although Feng Qingshan was a half-step Grotto Heaven Realm cultivator, cultivated many space magical powers, and refined a space treasure like the clear sky treasured mirror, he was still separated by a layer and couldn't see clearly. It was like a fish in the water looking at a person on the shore, blurry and distorted. However, at this moment, it was different. The runes, the laws, and the layers of space were clearly displayed in Feng Qingshan's eyes, and there were no more obstacles. At this moment, Feng Qingshan really understood what it meant to be so close, yet so far away, what it meant to collapse the void, and what it meant to form a grotto heaven. The law of space is indeed worthy of being the top law. At a certain moment, Feng Qingshan opened his eyes, which were densely packed with space runes, and let out a long sigh. However, Feng Qingshan quickly recovered. He knew that this was not the place to sigh. Time was pressing, and it was better to break through his cultivation first. Otherwise, once the people of Wuji Star Palace found out that something was wrong, it would be troublesome. Chapter 374. Since he had already comprehended the law of space, the opportunity to break through to the Grotto Heaven realm was clear. The next step was to form the Grotto Heaven. He had to completely condense the realm that was between the virtual and the real. Feng Han's realm was a combination of the Buddha, demon, god, dragon's pure land, the ancient demon realm, the kingdom of gods, and the ocean of dragon might. Feng Qingshan's realm was not as profound as Feng Han's, but it was pure. He used the 5 elements Dharma as his foundation to cultivate the peace of Taoism. There is no emptiness in the sky, no cave in the mountain, and no room in the man. The emptiness in the belly of the mountain is called the Dongting. The emptiness in the head is called the bridal chamber. Therefore, the enlightened being is in the sky, the mountain, and the man, entering the void. Using millet and rice to contain Mount Penglai, including the 6 directions, the heavens and the earth cannot contain it. Buzz. Above Feng Qingshan's head, a shadow rose up. It was wearing an emperor's crown and a dragon robe. In one hand, it held the Frontier Expansion Sword, and in the other, the 4 Seas Seal. Its entire body was filled with a domineering aura. Ja. At a certain moment, the emperor opened his mouth, like the sound of opening the sky. With a loud bang, the emperor transformed into 2 figures, one black and one white. One was split into 2, but they were also like Siamese twins. The lotus root was broken and the thread was still connected. It was an extreme transformation of yin and yang, the marvelous principle of light and darkness. Another moment, the black and white figures disappeared. The 3 powers, the 4 divisions, the 5 elements, the 6 combinations, the 7 stars, the 9 palaces, the 10 directions, and the stars hung high in the sky. In an instant, a grotto heaven was taking shape. In an instant, a large number of spatial spiritual items flew out of Feng Qingshan's body. The hollow tree, the cosmos bag, the Sumru ring, the void stone, the congealing flower, the grotto heaven grass, the blessed land fruit. The power of space was taken away and integrated into Feng Qingshan's realm. In the blink of an eye, Fang Qingshan's body began to tremble and explode. His acupoints, energy passageways, 5 viscera, 6 bowels, and other areas all transformed into independent dimensions, which merged together to form an inner paradise. Because of that, his capacity for magical power increased exponentially. The changes to the grotto heaven outside were even greater. With him as the center, the space within a radius of 1,000 miles, or even 10,000 miles, began to distort, forming a true grotto heaven that was completely different from the great thousand worlds. Yin and Yang transformation. In the blessed paradise, Fang Qingshan was the sole ruler. This was an independent kingdom, a territory that truly belonged to him in the universe. In this paradise, he was the god of creation. He was the master of the world. With a command, the great yin-yang technique flew out of his primordial spirit and fused with the paradise. Thus the sun and the moon appeared. There was black and white. There was yin and yang. There was day and night. There was light and darkness. 5 elements play. Therefore, in the entire grotto heaven, there were mountains, rivers, lakes, volcanoes, forests, mineral veins, and meteorites. The entire great thousand worlds was a giant space, and Hongjun Tiandao was an amalgamation of various laws. Now, Fang Qingshan's grotto heaven was equivalent to a small world, and his primordial spirit magical powers were the amalgamation of Hongjun Tiandao. Just as Fang Qingshan finally broke through to the grotto heaven realm and felt the mysteries of the grotto heaven, the people of Limitless Star Palace finally discovered the strangeness of the pure Yang Sea. A large part of the reason why they didn't pay attention to this place earlier was because their attention was distracted by Demon Exalt Scarlet Abyss and the others. After all, they were the real trouble, and the other small fights were just minor ailments. Besides, they didn't expect that not only was there an external attack, but there was also a problem inside. After all, there were 3,000 pure Yang true dragons in the pure Yang Palace, the Tai Chi Yin and Yang Great Array, and even the Time Great Array. Even if a cosmic light realm expert came, he wouldn't be able to escape. As for those above the creation realm, how could they not discover it? But who knew that there was a guide party? Even a solid castle would collapse from the inside. Although the attack of Demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss and the others was fierce, Limitless Star Palace had a deep foundation after all. After withstanding the first few waves of attacks, they finally stabilized their footing. Then, they discovered that there was a big problem with the pure Yang Sea. Yes, it was a big problem. Fang Qingshan and the others were too ruthless. Not to mention Devouring Sky, Demon Emperor, and the others, Supreme Heavenly Mirror, All Heaven Sword, and other supreme treasures. Just Xiongqi alone was enough to make the entire Limitless Star Palace feel pain. Even if his strength hadn't recovered, he was an existence comparable to Venerable Ling Long and the others. With his strength, one could imagine what kind of speed it would be if he went all out and devoured everything. Not to mention the World Tree. Although it had also not fully grown, its speed was not inferior to Xiongqi's. As for the All Heaven Sword, Clear Sky Treasure Mirror, 9 Doubts Cauldron, Tai 5 Smoky Net, and the World King Realm Expert, Devouring Sky Demon Emperor, their devouring speed was not slow either. It had to be known that in the original work, Fang Han only relied on the Yellow Springs diagram to devour everything unscrupulously and soon alarmed the experts of Limitless Star Palace. There was no need to mention that Fang Qingshan and the others had 2 big eaters. In addition to the devouring of other supreme treasures and people, the sea level of the pure Yang Sea dropped at a speed visible to the naked eye. The pure Yang Sea was not only the elixir room of Limitless Star Palace, but it was also the driving force of the Limitless Primordial Chaos diagram, the energy pool. When they stabilized their footing, they immediately discovered that something was wrong. After a careful inspection, all of them began to be unable to restrain their anger. "Thief, how dare you do this? Quickly stop. Bastard, you dare to dig the foundation of my Limitless Star Palace? You're courting death." Shocking roars shook the world, and the entire limitless star world seemed to be shaking at this moment. Is someone taking advantage of the situation? Looking at Limitless Star Palace's furious look, it seems that this person has poked their sore spot. I wonder who the third party is. No matter who it is, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Let's work harder and raise our morale. The reaction of the people of Limitless Star Palace was naturally seen by Demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss and the others. They were naturally happy to see this. Although Fang Qingshan's behavior seemed to be a bit opportunistic, he was still dealing with Limitless Star Palace and had the same goal as them. Kill. When I attain immortality, all the living beings in the world that have shattered into dust will attain immortality. When I attain immortality, all the living beings in the river of time, including the billions of living beings in the past and future, will be able to fulfill all their wishes. The first to make a move was Venerable Linglong. She immediately used her unique skill, the Great Wish technique. Buddha is Tao, Buddha is devil. There are good and evil, good and evil. Good is devil, evil is devil. As long as the heart devil of all living beings is not extinguished, they will be immortal. Primordial devil, heaven and earth devil gate, suppress. Demon Heart Old Man followed closely behind. He also used the Great Heart magic from the 3,000 Great Tao Divine Abilities. Chapter 375. Speaking of Old Man Mental Demon, he wasn't simple at all. He first appeared 1,000 years ago at Song Mountain, where he discussed the Tao with the 6 great demon emperors. Although outsiders didn't know the outcome of that discussion, the 6 great demon emperors were very convinced by Old Man Mental Demon. After Yellow Spring Grand Emperor, the demon sect became scattered sand. Although Ing Xiantian was the #1 person of the demonic path on the surface, the other demon emperors weren't convinced by him. However, everyone, including Ing Xiantian, was sincerely impressed by Old Man Mental Demon and was shocked by his great art of demonic path. From this, it could be seen that this person wasn't simple. A centipede dies, but doesn't fall down. Although the demonic path began to decline after Yellow Spring Grand Emperor, it was still able to form a tripartite balance with the immortal path and demon path. Ing Xiantian had chopped off the arm of the Greater One Sect enforcement Elder Tang Jingshan, but the Greater One Sect had left the matter unsettled. The 9 Hall Masters of the Yellow Springs sect held the 9 keys to the Yellow Springs treasury in their hands, but the Greater One Sect did not make a move. The contributions of the 6 demon emperors could not be ignored. Old Man Mental Demon once sighed with emotion. After Yellow Spring Grand Emperor, no one in the universe could talk about the demonic path with him. The 6 great demon emperors didn't refute him. Ing Xiantian had returned from the Tao discussion at Song Mountain and cultivated in seclusion for 1,000 years. His magic power was unfathomable, and he repelled the siege of Greater One Sect and even mixed in with the people of Hongjun Tiandao. Supreme Emperor Heaven was apprehensive because of his discussion with Old Man Mental Demon. Of course, it was precisely because Old Man Mental Demon wasn't simple that he was invited to attack Limitless Star Palace. After all, the one in charge was Demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss, and the one helping them was Venerable Linglong. If he didn't have some ability, how could he be on par with such figures? As for Old Man Mental Demon's Great Heart Devil Art, it was also extraordinary. Although it wasn't ranked as high as Venerable Linglong's Great Wish Art, it was unpredictable and impossible to guard against. For cultivators, there were 2 things that would cause one's expression to change at the mere mention of it. The first was karma. There was nothing much to say about it, unless one could truly overcome all karma with one's own strength. Otherwise, not only would one be abandoned by the heavens, but the wrath of the heavens would also descend upon them. The second was the inner demons. One was most afraid of chi deviation during cultivation, and they were also most afraid of the inner demons during tribulation. Once the inner demons invaded them, they would be doomed if they were not prepared and were not careful. And the Great Heart Magic Art was a great art that could incite the good in all living beings to disgust the evil. As long as the inner demons of all living beings were not extinguished, they would be able to live eternally. They would be able to reside in the inner demons of others without a trace or form. This was because no matter how powerful an existence was, there would still be good and evil hearts. Good was evil, and evil was evil. This was the demonic art that was closest to the source of the demonic arts. It communicated with the primordial demons and summoned the demonic gates of heaven and earth. It was extremely mysterious. Other than Old Man Mental Demon and Venerable Ling Long, there was also Demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss, the Initiator. 5 Devil Emperors kill. Demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss also used one of the 3,000 Great Daos, the Great 5 Elements art. A demonic hand that covered the sky was crystal clear and as heavy as the sky. It bloomed with 5-colored light, and wherever the palm energy went, the sky would be filled with chaos. The 3 of them, the 3 existences closest to immortals, used 3 top Dao arts among the 3,000 Great Daos, instantly attracting the attention of the Limitless Star Palace. Although they could not wait to take action and suppress Fang Qingshan and the others, they were more afraid of being careless and letting Venerable Ling Long and the others break in. However, there was someone among them who wanted to go to the Pure Yang Hall. This person was none other than young Master Chu Nan's backer, the Supreme Elder of the Limitless Star Palace, Star Sovereign. Although young Master Chu Nan did not listen to the summon to activate the immortal weapon to resist the strong enemies in the boundless chaos diagram, Star Sovereign did not think of him for a while. But when he came back to his senses and finally remembered his son, he found that he was not in the boundless chaos diagram, and he immediately became worried. Fortunately, when he heard from the Pure Yang Hall Master that young Master Chu Nan was in the Pure Yang Hall and was preparing to break through to the Tao Insight Realm, Star Sovereign could not help but heave a sigh of relief. What he was most afraid of was that young Master Chu Nan was reckless or had bad luck and ran into the hands of Demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss and the others. However, just as he was relieved, there was a problem with the Pure Yang Sea. The problem was that young Master Chu Nan played a big role in it and was a proper guide. At this moment, he even colluded with others to plunder the Pure Yang Sea. This made him shocked and angry, so he could not care less about resisting Venerable Ling Long and the others. He tore the space tunnel and came to the Pure Yang Sea. There was a loud boom. When Fang Qingshan was experiencing and adapting to the changes in his strength after the breakthrough, he suddenly heard a thunderous sound on the Pure Yang Sea. Looking towards the source of the sound, he saw ripples in the void. A black hole appeared, and a tunnel was connected. Following that, a man wearing a star robe and a crown on his head walked out like a king. His long beard fluttered in the wind, and his figure was perfect. However, the majesty of a king that he exuded made people feel a little suppressed. At this moment, he had a straight face, as if someone owed him money. His eyes were full of anger, like 2 volcanoes that were about to erupt. "Unfilial son, what are you doing?" As soon as Star Sovereign appeared, he did not attack Fang Qingshan first, but scolded young Master Chu Nan angrily. If young Master Chu Nan faced Star Sovereign's scolding in the past, he would be trembling and stuttering. But now he just sighed and said, "Father, the sea of bitterness is boundless. Repent, and you will be saved. I have now converted to the Taoist Fang Qingshan. Why don't you join us?" Hearing young Master Chu Nan's words, Star Sovereign almost vomited blood in anger. Not only is this guy not afraid of me, but he actually persuaded me to surrender. Star Sovereign suppressed the anger in his heart and ignored him. He already knew that young Master Chu Nan must have been tricked. He turned back and looked at Devouring Sky Demon Emperor. As for why he didn't look at Xiong Qi, it was because Xiong Qi restrained his aura. If he released his aura, he would be like the sun in the sky, more eye-catching than Venerable Ling Long and the others. If that was the case, he would have attracted the attention of Limitless Star Palace. As for Devouring Sky Demon Emperor, although he restrained his aura, he was after all a demon emperor who once conquered a great thousand world. His temperament was more in line with Star Sovereign's aesthetic standards. How dare you take advantage of my limitless star palace? Aren't you afraid of being consigned to eternal damnation? Star Sovereign squinted his eyes and shot out two rays of cold light, staring at devouring sky demon emperor. I'll give you a choice now. Kneel down and surrender, and you may be spared from death. Otherwise, this day next year will be the anniversary of your death. So much nonsense. Kill. The devouring heaven demon emperor snorted coldly and attacked. As for Fong Shan and the others, apart from making space for them to fight, they were still devouring the pure Yang Ocean. Chapter 376. Sky-devouring world exterminating palm. The sky-devouring demon emperor went all out. The huge palm covered the sky, sparkling like jade. As the palm struck down, it was as if the sky had fallen. It was enshrouded in boundless demonic chi. Not only did it not give off an evil feeling, but it also revealed a sacred feeling. The palm opened wide like a starry black hole, engulfing the heavens and the earth. Light, space, and pure yang. Nothing could escape from his demonic mouth. Although it was not comparable to demon venerable Scarlet Abyss and old man mental demon, the aura and power of this attack were not inferior to Su Xiui and Ing Xiantian. Although Star Sovereign had already guessed that the sky-devouring demon emperor was not simple, he realized that he had underestimated him when he faced the sky-devouring demon emperor with his full strength. An invisible chain sealed the space, making him feel as if he couldn't escape. Fortunately, Star Sovereign wasn't someone to be trifled with. As a famous supreme elder of limitless Star Palace, he had even hooked up with a divine emperor of the celestial race. Even if he wasn't as brilliant as Feng Baiyu and the others, he still deserved his reputation for being able to reach where he was today. Shaking Starfall, seeing that the sky-devouring demon emperor's palm was about to strike down, Star Sovereign took a step forward and shouted. In an instant, a starlight rose from the top of his head and transformed into a book. It was the fundamental technique of the Wuji Star Palace, the Infinite Star Book. The scrolls slowly opened. It was as if the starry sky was spreading out, and countless stars decorated it. For a moment, the entire pure Yang Sea seemed to have become a sea of stars. It was mysterious, spacious, vast, and deep, causing people to be unable to help but want to be intoxicated by it. Beautiful things were often dangerous, just like thorny roses and poisonous dachira. In a trance, the Big Dipper spun, and the countless stars hanging high in the night sky fell like fallen leaves in autumn. This was a meteor shower. Stars fell from the sky, extremely beautiful, but full of endless danger. Boom! Hundreds, then thousands of stars rammed into the devil hand, one after another. Although these stars were not comparable to the Dragonwood star core, they were just energy balls condensed by Star Sovereign using the Great Star Technique, but their power was not to be underestimated. Even an ancient giant would be heavily injured if they didn't have a supreme treasure on them. When hundreds and thousands of stars gathered together, the power was naturally not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Instantly, an indescribable starlight, demonic aura burst out, distorting the entire heavens and earth. One must know that this was where the pure Yang Ocean was located. Given the might that it harnessed, it could suppress everything in its path. Even though it could not be compared to an immortal weapon, it was definitely stronger than a supreme Grey Dao weapon. Even so, heaven and earth were still distorting and shattering. The entire pure Yang Sea seemed like it was about to capsize. From this, one could tell how shocking the power of this collision was. However, although the speed of the heaven-devouring demon emperor's heaven-devouring world annihilation palm was slowed down by the successive collisions of the stars, it still maintained an unstoppable momentum as it slammed down towards the Star Sovereign. The starlight was obliterated, and the stars were shattered. At this moment, even the Star Sovereign could not help but change his expression. A tinge of shock flashed across his eyes. Then, without any hesitation, he shot backwards. Boundless starlight formed a towering star barrier in front of him. In the end, the star sovereign's cultivation was still inferior to the heaven-devouring devil emperor. Boom! Instantly, the heavens and earth trembled. The space where the star sovereign was forcefully shattered into thousands of fragments. The torrential starlight was completely evaporated at this moment. Damn it! The star sovereign did not expect the heaven-devouring demon emperor's world annihilation palm to still have such great power after the collision of the falling stars. To think that a single palm could actually break his starlight barrier. Without much time to think, a pole appeared in his hand. On the pole was a bright, but not dazzling moon. Moon-carrying pole. The sun, moon, and star shining together refer to the great sun, luminous moon, and purple star. To be able to carry the luminous moon and the lunar star, how powerful must this power be? A high-grade Tao weapon was similar to the star sovereign dragon bed. It was a supreme treasure with the foundation of a supreme grade Tao weapon. Do you think that you're the only one with a treasure? Seeing this scene, the heaven-devouring demon emperor could not help but snort coldly. I hate that there's no way out. Hate that there's no door. Hate that the Tao is heartless. Hate. A compass rose from the head of the heaven-devouring demon emperor. The sky acted as a chessboard, and the stars acted as pawns. It was an inescapable net that instantly entangled the moon-carrying pole. Heaven-resenting compass. This was originally an upper-grade Tao weapon that Feng Qingshan took from the heaven-resenting deity king. Later on, it was given to the heaven-devouring demon emperor. After being refined by him, although it was not comparable to a top upper-grade Tao weapon like the War God Whip, it was still considered a good choice. In addition, his cultivation was higher than the Star Sovereign's. Therefore, once he made a move, the heaven-resenting compass suppressed the moon-carrying pole. Sigh, father, put down the butcher's knife and become a Buddha on the spot. Don't be stubborn. You are no match for master. Give up. Letting go is liberation. Seeing this scene, young Master Chu Nin could not help but advise. Planting the green seedlings in the fields, taking root in the water. Only when the 6 roots are pure is the Tao. Going backward is going forward. Shut up, you unfilial son. The Star Sovereign was upset at this moment. Hearing young Master Chu Nan's clamor, he was even more furious. If he was not worried about him, in order to save him, he would not have come to the Pure Yang Palace to get involved in this mess. However, he was his son after all. It was better to save him first. Otherwise, if he ran away with someone else, how could he find him? If his mother did not take good care of him, it would be another troublesome matter. When facing the heaven-devouring demon emperor, the Star Sovereign already had the intention to retreat. He moved his feet and suddenly pounced towards young Master Chu Nan. He grabbed him and was about to use the greater teleportation technique to leave the Pure Yang Sea and return to the boundless chaos diagram. In the face of the Star Sovereign's sudden move, not to mention the others, even the heaven-devouring demon emperor could not react for a while. Seeing that the Star Sovereign was about to enter the void with young Master Chu Nan, a strange change suddenly occurred. Boom! With a loud bang, a mushroom cloud formed beside the Star Sovereign. Amidst the earth-shattering explosion noises, endless gorgeous waves wreaked havoc in every direction. The terrifying energy that was unleashed had even caused the entire world to violently tremble. Young Master Chu Nin self-destructed. Of course, this change was to the Star Sovereign. Although he knew that his son was being controlled, he did not expect it to be to this extent. In the end, he was even tricked. The unprepared Star Sovereign was not able to escape. He was directly injured by young Master Chu Nan's self-destruction. After all, the current young Master Chu Nan was different from before. Thanks to Feng Qingshan, he also comprehended the space law and advanced to the half-step Grotto Heaven realm. In addition to the tens of millions of pure yang power that he absorbed, the power of his self-destruction was naturally strong. Chapter 377. The Endless World. The axis of the Earth's core, the golden dividing point. This was the true core of the limitless world, a place where luck and destiny ruled. At the same time, it was also the hiding place of the immortal artifact, the primordial everlasting diagram. Beyond the layers of space, in the depths of the chaotic space-time, where the core of the limitless world was located, a great map that covered the heavens slowly unfurled. It was unknown how many tens of thousands of li it was boundless. Although it couldn't compare to the limitless world, it was still a continent, vast and boundless. It was filled with dazzling starlight and overflowing with immortal energy. Exotic flowers and herbs grew in clusters. Rare birds and strange beasts covered the ground. Spirit springs flowed about. Immortal palaces adorned the ground. Auspicious clouds drifted about, and palaces meandered about. On a normal day, this place would be like heaven on earth. But today, it was as if the end of the world had come, the twilight of the gods. Just as Feng Qingshan was unscrupulously devouring the pure yang energy, the battle near the primordial everlasting diagram was also in full swing. Demonic qi filled the air, and a planet rolled down, blooming with colorful brilliance. Its power was even stronger than the Dragonwood star core, or even the star core on the Star Emperor's dragon bed. This was a planet formed by the Scarlet Abyss Demon Sovereign's Great Five Elements technique. Wherever it pressed down, the starlight would collapse. It was like a world-destroying millstone. Beside him, the same demonic aura surged, emitting an aura of all creatures competing for freedom in the frosty sky, wanting to compete with the heavens. There were a total of 8 of them. Although they couldn't compare to the Scarlet Abyss Demon Sovereign, they were far superior to Feng Baiyu and Ing Xiantian. Even the primordial chaos Taoist wouldn't dare to boast that he could defeat them. This was a monster native to the limitless world. He was different from the demonic Tao in the Xianhuang Great World, who did not have much of a presence. One had to know that the limitless universe had long been ruled by the limitless Star Palace. It wasn't just a single faction that ruled the world, but one that ruled over life and death. Under such circumstances, it was not easy for these demons to cultivate to this stage. The 8 of them were the rulers of the underground world, known as the 8 sages. Of course, they were not the great sage equal to heaven or the great sage who pacifies the heavens, as described in the Journey to the West. Instead, they were the great sage who transcends the heavens, the great sage who collapses the heavens, the great sage who tramples the heavens, the great sage who destroys the heavens, the great sage who splits the heavens, the great sage who shakes the heavens, the great sage who covers the heavens, and the great sage who opens the heavens. Each one of them was an old monster that had cultivated for tens of thousands of years. Each of them had a World King realm cultivation and had created their own world. Demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss and the others attacked from 4 directions at the same time. Apart from him and the 8 great demon sages, the remaining 2 directions were Venerable Ling Long and Old Man Mental Demon. When I attain immortality, all worlds will submit to me. When I attain immortality, all stars will be destroyed. When I attain immortality, all stars will be destroyed with a thought. When I attain immortality, all. Besides the Grand Vow voice, there were also dragon roars. Primordial dragons wrapped around the endless primordial chaos diagram, slowly eroding away at the important spells within. 10,000 dragons refining immortal technique. This was the immortal art of the dragon race that was used to deal with Taoist Huntian back in exquisite paradise. 10,000 heavenly dragons formed a grand formation that could refine a world. And, in time, and Demon King immortal technique time. On the other side, Demon King attacked. Although his momentum wasn't as majestic as Venerable Ling Long's and the 8 great demon saints, he was more unpredictable. Countless demonic shadows were like smoke and mist, real and illusory, appearing and disappearing at his will. They seemed to be broken with a poke, but they were immortal. It didn't seem powerful, but it was the limitless Star Palace's people who feared it the most, because these inner demons could evoke the deepest desire and pain in people's hearts, subtly influencing them. As a result, everyone had to divert part of their attention to guard against the invasion of the inner demons, lest they failed miserably. They could only exert 80% of their power. At the same time, in the pure Yangtze, Star Sovereign, who had been tricked by Chunan, had lost his chance to escape. Xiongqi, who was focused on absorbing the pure Yangtze, stretched out his claw and grabbed. With a tearing sound, not only did Star Sovereign not have any reaction, even the space he was in seemed to have been directly obliterated. Damn it, we can't go on like this. Yeah, if we let them go on like this, our limitless Star Palace's vitality will be greatly damaged even if we drive them away. I heard that the celestial race has already planned to attack the black-yellow Great World. If our limitless Star Palace misses this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity due to a great loss of strength, it won't be justifiable. In that case, please take action, old ancestor. Xiongqi's sudden attack instantly alarmed the limitless Star Palace's experts. After all, his aura wasn't any weaker than Venerable Ling Long and the others. Everyone couldn't help but be shocked. When did such an expert sneak into the inner circle? They didn't sense it at all. On one hand, they were facing Venerable Ling Long's strong attack, and on the other hand, they were facing Feng Qingshan's ultimate attack. The limitless Star Palace's people finally couldn't sit still. In fact, it was still fine for Venerable Ling Long and the others. Although it was fierce, they had already stabilized their footing. Moreover, with the entire limitless world as their backup, they weren't afraid of a protracted war. If they couldn't win after a long time, Venerable Ling Long and the others could only retreat. The trouble was with Feng Qingshan. In the beginning, the limitless Star Palace's people didn't put them in their eyes. They didn't know that although they looked like ants, they were actually tigers and giant dragons. With Star Emperor's cultivation, although he couldn't be considered a peak master of limitless Star Palace, he could still be considered a top master. He was one of the top existences below the World King realm. Yet, he had been easily suppressed by Feng Qingshan's group. How could this be? It should be known that Feng Qingshan's group was not like Venerable Ling Long and the others. They had already entered the limitless Star Palace's core area, the pure Yangtze. The pure Yangtze was one of the core resources of the limitless Star Palace. It was also related to the activation of the limitless origin diagram. If they lost too much of it, the limitless Star Palace would really be in danger of collapsing. It should be known that only the longevity giant could fully exert the power of a Tao artifact. Apart from the artifact spirit, only immortals could truly control an immortal artifact. However, in the 3,000 Great Worlds, due to the restrictions of the Dharma, immortals couldn't stay for long. They had to ascend. Of course, nothing was absolute. There were still many immortals who took advantage of the loopholes and stayed behind. However, they couldn't make a move at will. Of course, the limitless Star Palace didn't have such an existence because they didn't need it. They had an immortal artifact, and the artifact spirit of an immortal artifact was equivalent to an immortal. The reason why the artifact spirit didn't make a move earlier was because it consumed too much energy. But now, there was no other way. If they didn't ask the old ancestor for help, once the pure Yangtze was cut off, or if the heaven-devouring evil emperor or even Xiongqi attacked the limitless Star Palace from the inside, they would really be doomed. Chapter 378. Old Ancestor, please make a move. An elder roared, shaking the heavens and earth. Old Ancestor, please make a move. Old Ancestor, please make a move. Old Ancestor, please make a move. As one of the limitless Star Palace elders shouted out, all the other grand elders and palace masters within the everlasting primordial chaos diagram also shouted out in unison. Rumble, as his voice faded. In a limitless world, on the axis of the Earth's core, at the golden dividing point, in the center of the world, the endless chaos everlasting diagram suddenly erupted with waves of godly light and immortal chi. Instantly, a passageway was opened. Following that, a large bell was rung, and the sound waves spread out in all directions along the passageway. Following that, an old man with white hair and white eyebrows walked out. He had a ruddy complexion and was covered in dazzling starlight. A cold snort instantly drowned out the sounds of the battle between Venerable Ling Long's great Hong Yuan and the others. His voice was mighty and majestic, carrying the majesty of an overlord of the immortal Tao. The everlasting primordial chaos diagram burst out with unprecedented radiance. In an instant, the entire heaven and earth stabilized, and the cracks were mended. The person who came was the old ancestor of the everlasting star palace, the artifact spirit of the everlasting chaos origin diagram. Old ancestor. All the people of the everlasting star palace couldn't help but cheer at the sight of the artifact spirit. Venerable Ling Long, demon mind old man, and the others wore a solemn expression. Of course, they weren't afraid. An ancient demon like Demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss was an existence comparable to an immortal when he was at his peak. Naturally, he wouldn't be afraid of an immortal artifact spirit. Although Demon Mind Old Man had a mysterious origin, he dared to boast that no one could discuss the demonic Tao with him after the Netherworld Emperor. What a proud person! Venerable Ling Long was the first person in 3,000 years. Although she was just a rising star compared to Demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss, she was the most brilliant existence in recent times. The first person in 3,000 years wasn't just in the black-yellow great world, but in the entire 3,000 great worlds. Everyone, this farce is enough. Step back. Don't push your luck. The artifact spirit glanced coldly at Venerable Ling Long and the others, suppressing the anger in his heart. He didn't attack them directly, but wanted them to retreat. That was because he knew that even if he really made a move, he would only be able to push them back at most. He wouldn't be able to cause much harm to them. Since that was the case, if he could easily deal with them, why would he make such an unnecessary move? Unfortunately, his wishful thinking naturally wouldn't succeed. Wasn't the biggest reason why Scarlet Abyss and the others had joined forces to besiege Limitless Star Palace for the Boundless Chaos Wuji diagram? Although they were wary of the artifact spirit of this immortal artifact, it also stimulated their desire to attack. Even though they had fought intensely just now, to be honest, they did not feel any sense of accomplishment at all. If they could really fight with the celestial artifact, even if they could not snatch the celestial artifact in the end, they would feel that it was worth it. If you want us to retreat, you'll have to show us your strength. Otherwise, who are you trying to scare with empty words? Demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss sneered. That's right. Since we're here, we won't stop until we reach our goal. If you want us to back off, it'll depend on your performance. Venerable Ling Long's cold voice resounded. Although Demon Heart Old Man did not speak, from the looks of it, he clearly agreed with the two of them. Good. If that's the case, let's give it a try. The artifact spirit's eyes turned sharp, and he sneered. He knew that if he did not show his true strength today, he would not be able to repel the invading enemies. Sacred immortal spiritual body, connect the heavens, receive the divine light, and the immortal world descends. The artifact spirit roared. The boundless chaos Wuji diagram emitted a dazzling divine light. Billions of thunderbolts exploded, shaking the heavens and the earth. In the depths of billions of space-time, 9 spheres as large as stars emitted a boundless light, like the sun in the sky. Rumble. In the sky above the boundless chaos Wuji diagram, a towering gate that was millions of miles tall suddenly appeared. The gate to the immortal world. It was the gate that appeared when Feng Qingshan broke through to the longevity realm. Its entire body was like gold and jade, and it was engraved with countless divine runes. It looked so luxurious and mysterious. It was hazy, as if it had truly descended into the mortal world, yet it also seemed to be hidden in the depths of the endless space-time. It emitted a mysterious aura of the Tao. Within the door, a mysterious divine light shot out. It was mysterious and natural. The divine light swirled, transforming into numerous magical symbols. These magical symbols didn't belong to gods, immortals, Buddhas, devils, or even ancient characters that originated from the gate of eternal life. No one knew what they were. However, everyone could clearly feel the majesty and calamity revealed in these characters. Tribulation. This was the word tribulation, a supreme tribulation technique that was passed down from the gate of eternal life. It represented the ultimate mystery of all the tribulations in the mortal world. With one tribulation in hand, 10,000 tribulations would not be able to overcome it. Fang Qingshan had cultivated the great disaster technique, but it paled in comparison to the word tribulation. This was not just a tribulation, but also the majesty of thunder and lightning, judging heresy, rewarding the good and punishing the evil. Damn, the immortal artifact of the boundless chaos Wuji diagram actually communicated with the lightning punishment of the immortal world, and a phantom image descended. Rumble. The divine light was dense, and the airflow tumbled. Endless starlight and immortal chi collided, forming a terrible vortex. Then, transparent bolts of lightning that shocked the soul evolved. This was the highest level of divine lightning in the immortal world. When the Yellow Springs Grand Emperor opened the gate to the immortal world, he was killed by this lightning. Although the divine lightning that the boundless chaos Wuji diagram communicated with was not as ferocious, these bolts of divine lightning struck one after another. All the Tao techniques were overshadowed. In a flash, the five-colored canopy, the golden halo, and the mental demons were all suppressed in an instant. Not good, let's go. Fang Qingshan and the others had not been paying attention to the battle around the boundless chaos Wuji diagram. They had only wanted to fish in troubled waters. But with the descent of the gate to the immortal world and the sudden attack of the lightning punishment, even if they covered their ears, they could still feel the vast aura. Even Xiongqi's face could not help but turn solemn. Fang Qingshan knew that it was time to leave. Although they had not sucked the pure yang sea dry, the pure yang power that they had devoured was more than 10 times that of Fang Han. This was enough to make limitless Star Palace's heart ache. Contentment was everlasting joy. Greed was insatiable, and in the end, they could only suffer the consequences. If they left now, they still had Venerable Ling Long and the others to restrain them. Once the boundless chaos Wuji diagram repelled Old Man Mental Demon and the others, and then turned back to deal with them. Even if they could escape, it would take more effort. Fang Qingshan forcibly suppressed the greed in his heart and waved his hand to summon Xiongqi and the others back. Let's go. Then, he retracted his aura and took out the clear sky treasured mirror. A crystal light shrouded him and dived into the pure Yang Sea, continuing to steal while escaping. Chapter 379. A horse wouldn't get fat without grass at night, and a man wouldn't get rich without a windfall. Fang Qingshan, who had escaped from the pure Yang Sea, would have thrown his head back and howled at the sky if he didn't want to keep a low profile. This trip to the boundless world was comparable to the trip to Shushan. First, he had achieved his goal of obtaining the map of Tianwu treasury from the Soul Devourer's sacred beast. With him, even if he didn't know the Panwu treasury like the back of his hand, he would at least have the upper hand. Once he returned to the Xianhuang Great World, he could summon Fang Han in exchange for Fang Qingxue. The three of them would work together to open the Tianwu treasury and attack Hua Tiandu, catching the Greater One sect off guard. If he could successfully obtain the key of the Desolate God, he might even be able to break through the Grotto Heaven realm and reach the Cosmic Light realm, or even the Creation realm. At that time, he would truly become a powerhouse of heaven and earth. As long as it wasn't an expert like Supreme Emperor Heaven or Venerable Ling Long, he wouldn't be weaker than anyone. Even if Venerable Ling Long and the others attacked him, he would have no problem protecting himself or escaping. Then, he would kill people and plunder their luck, punishing the evil and promoting the good. Exterminating the Soul Devourer's sacred beast, a ferocious beast with monstrous karma, would give him a lot of luck and merit. Just thinking about it, one could imagine how quickly Fang Qingshan broke through to the Grotto Heaven realm. Moreover, the Soul Devourer's sacred beast could be used to refine the 9 Revolutions Soul Return Pill. This was a miraculous pill that could bring the dead back to life as long as there was one breath left. This was the Soul Devourer's sacred beast, but compared to the harvest of the limitless Star Palace, it wasn't worth mentioning. First of all, breaking through to the Grotto Heaven realm with the immortal body was enough to become a supreme elder in the emergent sect, Greater One sect, or even the limitless Star Palace. Although he still couldn't compare to Feng Baiyu, Ing Xiantian, and the others, he had further shortened the gap between them. Then, he had enlightened Song Ying and Luo Shuaibei, two ancient powerhouses, comparable to Fan Qingying. He had two more helpers, servants, and sources of faith and wish energy. He even suppressed the Star Sovereign of the limitless Star Palace. This was an expert above the creation realm. Although he couldn't compare to the devouring Heaven Devil Emperor and Xiongqi, even if there were hundreds or thousands of Luo Shuaibei, Song Ying still couldn't compare to him. As for Chunan's self-destruction, his soul, flesh, and blood were still devoured by the World Tree and turned into a longevity fruit, which contained the 3,000 great Daos and the ultimate secret technique of the god race, Genesis. Among Fang Qingshan's various divine arts, the only one that could truly match up to him was probably the one-breath Sanqing. Even the little destiny art, if not for the fact that it involved fate, might not be able to contend against it. Then there were the Tao treasures. Putting aside the ordinary ones, the Star Emperor Dragon Bed and the Dishi Scepter were both high-grade Tao treasures. Furthermore, they were top-notch Tao treasures like the Great Primal Chaos Lightning Sword, Inextinguishable Lightning, and War God's Whip. They had the foundation to become peerless Tao treasures. Although Fang Qingshan was currently using supreme treasures like the Clear Sky Treasure Mirror and the All-Heaven Sword, and ordinary magic treasures couldn't catch his eye at all, he was still very optimistic about these two treasures. Compared to these harvests, the whale swallowing in the pure Yang Sea was Fang Qingshan's biggest harvest this time. The sea was so vast, but after Fang Qingshan and the others swallowed, they could actually see the sea level drop with the naked eye. How ferocious was this? In the space of the World Tree, within everyone's body, there were various supreme treasure spaces, and pure yang pills were simply piled up like a mountain. Moreover, it wasn't just one or two mountains, but like the golden immortal palace of the emergent sect, there were layers upon layers of mountains, rising and falling continuously. In particular, in the Heaven Lake, it had formed a pure yang sea. Although it couldn't be compared to the limitless Star Palace, it was better than the original Heaven Lake. Of course, these harvests, apart from the improvement of Fang Qingshan's cultivation and combat power, were just to strengthen the foundation. It would still take a long time for him to fully convert the pure Yang Sea into his own strength. However, the improvement and recovery of the heaven-devouring Demon Emperor and Xiongqi made Fang Qingshan overjoyed. The heaven-devouring Demon Emperor was originally an Empyrean Heavenly Supreme in the World King realm. It was just that he was suppressed by the ancient Heavenly Emperor, causing his cultivation to decline instead of improving. Even though he had bitterly cultivated in the Heaven Lake for so long, he had only recovered his strength and made up for his foundation. But today, after swallowing so much 9 solar holy water, although his strength hadn't made a breakthrough, he had already taken half a step in, catching up to the Supreme Emperor Heaven and the others. There was no need to talk about Xiongqi. He had also been suppressed badly, causing his cultivation to decline. However, with so much 9 solar holy water, although it couldn't be compared to the miraculous triple light sacred water, it was enough for his strength to rise to a new level. However, it was also an external force, and could only be used as a trump card to protect his Tao. It definitely couldn't be used as a support. Otherwise, once it became a reliance, it would basically be useless. This was also the reason why Fang Qingshan didn't use them if he could. Trials, tribulations, and dangers were also a part of cultivation. Without them, it wouldn't be complete. As long as they weren't truly consigned to eternal damnation, having a narrow escape from death was sometimes more beneficial than detrimental to cultivators. That was because such extreme circumstances could stimulate the greatest potential of the human body. Looking back at the place where the everlasting chaos origin diagram was located, it had become a completely one-sided situation. Even with the strength of demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss, Old Man Mental Demon, and Venerable Ling Long. They had no choice but to retreat in the face of the eruption of immortal artifacts and the lightning arts of the immortal world. The three of them looked at each other and immediately gave the order to retreat. Many demons and heavenly demons retreated one after another. As for the three of them, they waited until the 8 demon saints retreated before leaving. Old Ancestor, chase after them. These people are audacious and caused our star palace to suffer unprecedented losses. Their crimes are too numerous to list. We definitely can't let them go. That's right. Letting the tiger return to the mountain will cause endless trouble. Kill them, and open up a path to the heavens. At the same time, we can intimidate those restless fellows, lest they think that our limitless star palace is weak and easy to bully. Seeing Venerable Ling Long and the others retreating, the people of the limitless star palace immediately burst into cheers. Following that, they, who were in high spirits, requested to send troops to chase after them. They must make Old Man Mental Demon pay with blood. All right, this matter ends here. The most important thing now is to lick our wounds and rectify our internal affairs. However, the artifact spirit's words poured a bucket of cold water on them. Old Ancestor, why? A group of supreme elders asked reluctantly. Why? Why don't you see who those people are? The artifact spirit shook his head and sighed. How could he not want to teach Venerable Ling Long and the others a lesson? He even wanted to kill one as a warning to others. It was just that demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss was an existence that could wrestle with the worldly, limitless Buddha. Venerable Ling Long was an existence that was closest to becoming an immortal. Old Man Mental Demon was also extremely strange. At first, he wanted to make them retreat in the face of difficulties. He didn't even want to make a move because he knew that it would be useless. Chapter 380. Sure enough, even when he used all his strength and communicated with the gate of the immortal realm to summon boundless lightning punishment, he could only push them back. He couldn't even injure them. As for chasing after them, it was even more impossible. First of all, the Chaos Origin Wuji diagram was a treasure that could suppress the destiny of the limitless star palace and even the limitless world. It couldn't be used easily. Otherwise, the destiny would be unstable and there would be unexpected disasters. This was also the reason why the Greater One sect basically didn't use it to wreak havoc even though they had an immortal artifact. In addition, immortal artifacts weren't something that the 3,000 great worlds could have. Not to mention the ancient times, at least not now. Ever since the world tree was cut off by the divine race, the immortal realm was separated from the 3,000 great worlds, and the world law had changed. The consumption of an immortal artifact was absolutely unimaginable. Although the pure yang energy consumed by communicating with the gate of the immortal realm to repel Venerable Ling Long and the others was not as much as the 9 solar holy water that Feng Qingshan stole, it was at least tens of millions of them. This was also because the supreme elders and palace masters of the limitless star palace were helping to activate it at the same time. If the Chaos Origin Wuji diagram left the limitless world to chase after Venerable Ling Long and the others, not mentioning the fact that they had lost the support of the pure Yang Ocean, even if they had the artifact spirit to operate it, they might not be able to withstand such consumption. Also, there was no telling if the endless world would undergo some unpredictable changes after losing the treasure that stabilized its luck. Venerable Ling Long and the others were not to be trifled with. What if their retreat was to show weakness to the enemy and lure them in? Besides, the limitless world and the limitless star palace were not without enemies. Many other worlds, sects, and people were eyeing the Chaos Origin Wuji diagram covetously. Once there was a problem, they would be attacked together. At that time, even if they wanted to kill them, they wouldn't be able to turn the situation around. Therefore, the artifact spirit directly rejected the suggestion of chasing after Venerable Ling Long and the others. The supreme elders and palace masters of the limitless star palace were not stupid people. At first, they were blinded by victory and hatred, but after being scolded by the artifact spirit, they came to their senses. Although they were unwilling, they still regained their composure and began to clean up the old land. At the same time, Fang Qingshan got the heaven-devouring devil emperor to use the clear sky treasure mirror, to use the spatial laws, to tear open the void barrier of the limitless world and return to the black-yellow great world. After returning to the black-yellow great world, Fang Qingshan did not return to the emergent sect. He did not even inform Fang Han and Fang Qingxue. Instead, he went straight to the sun-moon void. Originally, Fang Qingshan wanted to team up with Fang Han and Fang Qingxue to retrieve the treasure. Firstly, Fang Han's great desolation ancient furnace was related to the key of the rage god. Secondly, they were all on the same side. However, Fang Qingshan gave up after some thought. Fang Qingxue was fine, but if Fang Han went with them, how were they going to split the treasures? He didn't care about the other things, but there were two things that he was determined to get. The first was the most important key of the rage god in the Panwu treasury. The second was the suppressing treasures of the two great arrays around the Tianwu treasury. The supreme Grey Dao weapons, Black Emperor Tidal Streamer and Yin Emperor Fire Dragon Cauldron were the 5 elements Dao weapons. If he could get them, they would be immeasurably helpful to his cultivation of the 5 elements Dao. What he wanted the most was the key of the Desolate God, which was refined from a huge piece of the World Tree. Once it was swallowed, the World Tree would grow by a lot, and even the harvest from the pure Yang Ocean this time could not compare to it. However, what he wanted was important to him. Fang Han also wanted it, and it was important to him. After all, he also had the World Tree. Moreover, the key of the Rage God was a supreme Grey Dao weapon, a half-step immortal weapon. It did not evolve because it did not have the immortal Dao laws. More importantly, it was the key to open the door to the immortal world. The Black Emperor Tidal Streamer and Yin Emperor Fire Dragon Cauldron were the same. He cultivated the 5 elements Dao, and Fang Han also cultivated the 5 Demon Emperor's divine ability. These 2 supreme Grey Dao weapons were also very important to him. In particular, Venerable Panwu had refined 5 elements Dao weapons in the past. However, when the Yellow Spring Emperor was young, he stole 3 of them. Now, they were in the Yellow Spring Treasury. Fang Han was the heir of the Yellow Spring Grand Emperor. He definitely wanted to gather all 5 treasures and cultivate the 5 Emperor's great demon theurgy. At that time, his great 5 elements technique would truly advance by leaps and bounds and step into an incredible realm. He might even be able to comprehend the extreme changes of the 5 elements. If he cultivated to the level of the Yellow Spring Emperor, he would even be able to ignore the lightning punishment of the immortal world. Every man for himself, heaven and earth destroy. Fang Han was a member of the Fang clan and had a good relationship with him. Even their karma was connected. However, people were selfish. The Great Dao was fighting, and he did not want to test human nature. Therefore, in the end, Fang Qingshan thought it was better to go alone. This way, he could advance and retreat freely, and he did not have to worry about the news being leaked and alerting others. After all, Fang Han was the son of luck. There were countless eyes on him. If he moved, he might alert others. Originally, he wanted to go to the Tianwu treasury to get the treasures, but he still had to wait for the arrival of the space-time tide. The Tianwu treasury borrowed the power of the space-time tide between the black-yellow great world and the immortal world. It was extremely powerful. Usually, even people like Venerable Ling Long could not enter, unless they used immortal weapons or immortals. However, this was obviously impossible because the movement would be too big. If they were not careful, mistakes would be made. The disadvantages outweighed the advantages. Therefore, everyone was waiting. When the space-time tide's power weakened, they would use the treasures to tear open the space and enter the Tianwu treasury. However, if he were to go now, even if he were to fish in troubled waters, how could it compare to having a head start, monopolizing the treasury, and slowly plundering it? After all, at that time, people from the Dragon World, Buddha World, Celestial World, and the other worlds would all come over. A shoal of sharks would fight for food. Even though Fang Qingshan had Xiong Qi by his side, he didn't dare to guarantee that he would be able to return with a bountiful harvest. Fortunately, although Fang Qingshan did not have immortal weapons or immortals, and although he had stolen a huge amount of 9 solar holy water, Qiongqi still needed some time to recover to the Earth immortal realm. If he waited for Qiongqi to recover, he would lose the head start. But Fang Qingshan still had talismans. Yes, talismans. Of course, this talisman was not the one given to him by Dao Master Ji Lu. That talisman could even injure a heaven immortal. Among Earth immortals, as long as they were not the strongest, they would either die or be severely injured. In order to find the 5 elements' supreme treasure, Fang Qingshan went to the Iron Saber Gorge to retrieve the profound white gold's essence. Initially, he didn't want anything else, but Long Xian and his wife allowed him to make a copy of the Heavenly Book of Flesh and a part of the talismans. Although these talismans were only equivalent to a single strike from a rogue immortal, the combination of dozens of them was a different story. They could barely tear open the space-time tide. On top of that, he had Qiongqi, a supreme treasure like the clear sky treasured mirror. Entering the Tianwu treasury wouldn't be a problem. Chapter 381. Sun and Moon Void. Different from other worlds generally only had 1 sun and 1 moon. Once the limit was exceeded, a disaster would occur. Just like desolation, if it weren't for Ho-E shooting down the sun, many races would have perished. However, the black-yellow great world was different. There wasn't just 1 sun and moon here, but hundreds and thousands of them. These suns and moons were hidden in a mysterious space outside the black-yellow great world's 9 heavens' astral winds, revolving according to a certain pattern. This was the sun and moon void. The Tianwu treasury's space-time tide that connected the immortal world to the black-yellow great world was also here. Fortunately, it wasn't the right time yet, so no one paid attention to this place. After all, the space-time tide weakened once every 10,000 years, and each time it weakened for only 3 days. Only then would people pay attention to it. Therefore, as long as Fang Qingshan didn't make too much of a commotion, he wouldn't cause any commotion. After entering the sun and moon void, the first thing Fang Qingshan felt was the boundless ice and fire qi. There were too many suns and moons here, numbering in the hundreds and thousands. Moreover, every sun, moon, and star was incomparably large, comparable to the Dragonwood star. However, there was only 1 Dragonwood star, whereas the suns and moons here were densely packed. Great Sun, the sun, extreme yang, pure yang. The true sun fire was one of the top flames in the world, comparable to the red lotus karmic fire and the Nanmingli fire. The bright moon was Taiyin. Taiyin, extreme yin, pure yin. The entire Taiyin star seemed to be frozen in 2 extremes. It was cold all year round. The qi of Taiyin was the coldest thing in the world. Therefore, the appearance of ice and fire qi here didn't come as a surprise to Fang Qingshan. On the contrary, if it weren't for the huge harvest in the limitless star palace and the lack of time, Fang Qingshan would have stayed behind a harvest or comprehend for a period of time. After all, the movement of the sun and moon contained the laws of heaven and earth. Sun and moon, yin and yang, black and white, day and night. If he could comprehend a thing or two, it would be greatly beneficial to his cultivation. Although Fang Qingshan did not purposely stay in the Tianwu treasury, he still took the opportunity to loot the Tianwu treasury. Of course, the energy that could be harvested by him was not the ordinary ice energy or fire energy, but the spirits born from ice and fire, such as the golden crow, the Baifeng, the phoenix, the vermilion bird, the jade rabbit, the ice dragon, the cold cicada, the black tortoise, and so on. In fact, Fang Qingshan had even captured 2 natural deities. They were creatures born from the tides of the sun and moon, nurtured by the heavens and the earth. They absorbed the vital energy of the immortal world, condensed their divine abilities, and lived for 10,000 years. With them, when Fang Qingshan broke into the World King realm in the future, he would be able to open a minor dimension and condense a sun and moon. He would be able to directly use them as the sun and moon. Of course, These were all trivial matters at the moment. Fang Qingshan cast the clear sky treasure mirror and powered major void transference as he focused on rushing towards the spatial tide. Time. One step ahead, one step at a time. Although Fang Qingshan had come to the Tianwu treasury one step ahead, he did not know if his butterfly effect had taken effect, or if there would be a slight deviation in history. Therefore, he had to race against time. Only by holding the treasures in his hands would he be absolutely safe. After an unknown period of time, perhaps a day, perhaps even longer, Fang Qingshan finally stopped in a certain place. Looking back, he saw that he seemed to have left the black-yellow great world. The thousands of giant suns and moons had long been thrown to the back of his mind. As for the black-yellow great world, it was like a chicken, and the sun, moon, and stars were like eggshells. As for Fang Qingshan, it was all dusky. Even with Fang Qingshan's current cultivation base, he was actually unable to see anything clearly. It was as if he was wearing a thin layer of gauze. However, within the chaos, there would occasionally be a few ripples, and one story after another would appear. It was as if he was able to see through everything. Space-time tide. Time and space were the top two great Taoists between heaven and earth. If the immortal world had not undergone some changes, or the Creator had obtained it through fate, the power of fate would never be able to override space-time. Although the space-time tide was not the river of time and space, the power of time and space contained in it was not trivial. In particular, this space-time tide was formed by the twisting power of the immortal world and the black-yellow great world, the first world of the 3,000 ancient worlds. As soon as Fang Qingshan probed it with his thoughts, he could not help but let out a muffled groan. It contained a vast power. Star Sovereign, Feng Baiyu, and even Hongjun Tiandao's people, devouring Heaven Demon Emperor, were not worth mentioning in front of this power. Even Venerable Ling Long and Qiongqi were far from this power. Compared to this space-time tide, the everlasting chaos diagram was also a notch inferior. The only power that Fang Qingshan had seen that surpassed this power was Dao Master Ji Lu of Mount Shu. But what kind of person was Dao Master Ji Lu? He was a golden immortal. As for a golden immortal, even in the immortal world of the eternal life great world, he was an existence that could establish his own sect. Yet, Fang Qingshan actually used his primordial spirit to explore the real situation. Naturally, it was like throwing a meat bun at a dog. Even so, Fang Qingshan was not surprised but happy. If it wasn't for the vast power here, it would not have stopped those who coveted the Tianwu treasury like carps crossing the river. Young master, the power here is too vast. I'm afraid I can't tear it apart. Fang Qingshan released Qiongqi. He looked at it and couldn't help but frown. Haha, Qiongqi, don't worry. Of course, I know that there's a gap in your strength. Fang Qingshan didn't mind this and smiled. But what if we include them? With a flip of his hand, Fang Qingshan took out a dozen talismans. These talismans were neither gold nor jade, neither metal nor iron. It was unknown what material they were made of, but they contained a vast power. Although it couldn't be compared to the space-time tide, it was definitely not weaker than Qiongqi's or Venerable Ling Long's attack. More importantly, it was unknown whether these talismans were refined by the same person or they had undergone some kind of mutation. Their energy was intertwined, and they could be superimposed, increasing their power to a whole new level. Good. With this, Qiongqi has the confidence to tear apart the space-time tide and enter the Tianwu treasury. Seeing the talismans in Fang Qingshan's hand, Qiongqi's pupil shrunk. He could also feel the power contained in the talismans. Then he was overjoyed. With this talisman and the Haoyan treasure mirror, he would be able to enter the treasury unimpeded. Young master, you should enter the Haoyan treasure mirror first. Qiongqi took the talismans from Fang Qingshan's hand and said, All right, you be careful too. Naturally, Fang Qingshan had no objection. He nodded and turned into a stream of light, entering the Haoyan treasure mirror. Chapter 382. Seeing Fang Qingshan enter the clear sky treasure mirror, Qiongqi did not immediately take action, but instead released his spiritual consciousness. Of course, he wasn't like Fang Qingshan, who wanted to probe the spatial tide in front of him. Instead, he probed it left, right, up, down, and behind him. There was no harm in being careful. It's always good to be cautious. According to Fang Qingshan's estimations, it was not yet the time for the spatial tide to weaken, so no one should have noticed this place. But what if? What if someone had arrived early, and someone else had other ways to enter in advance? He didn't want to be the vanguard and expose himself to the enemy. It was better to be safe than sorry. He used Xiongqi's divine sense to scan the surroundings. Apart from special treasures, even Venerable Ling Long and the others couldn't hide themselves in front of him. Fortunately, things did not go beyond Fang Qingshan's expectations. There were no people around who wanted to take advantage of the situation. Xiongqi nodded to himself. With a flip of his hand, a cauldron appeared in his hand. It was the Nine Doubts cauldron, which was comparable to the clear sky treasured mirror. "Go!" Xiongqi shouted in a low voice and threw the Nine Doubts cauldron in his hand. Buzz! The Nine Doubts cauldron trembled and expanded in the face of the wind. In an instant, it transformed into a bronze cauldron that was the size of a mountain, and it soared through the sky. Countless mysterious runes flickered on the surface of the cauldron, and all sorts of phenomena of the heavens and the earth changed. It was as if it had crossed through the ancient times, and it was vast and majestic. Power was a domineering power that filled the world. Conquer the world. Following that, the mutated beast crouching on the lid of the cauldron suddenly glared at the bull as though it had come to life. It opened its mouth and spewed out golden sand that emitted boundless light. It instantly locked down the space around the spatial tide. Xiongqi had sealed the space ahead of time in order to prevent a huge commotion from breaking through the spatial tide. After all, the Tianwu treasury was hidden here. Even though it wasn't time for it to open yet, the moment there was a commotion, it would definitely alert the enemy. Although this place was quite far from the black-yellow great world, with the cultivation of Venerable Ling Long, the eternal immortal furnace, and the other living beings, they could still hear it. After making all the preparations, Xiongqi finally cast his gaze onto the spatial tide. The space-time tide before them was caused by the entanglement of the immortal realm and the black-yellow great world. It was an extremely mysterious way of pulling each other. Even though it wasn't at its peak right now, the occasional outbursts were still enough to shake the heavens and earth. An endless power of tides and the aura of time and space gushed out from the tidal abyss. The rich and pure space-time essence qi was as vast and boundless as the sea. If one could peacefully comprehend the space-time grand out here, coupled with one's comprehension ability, fortune, and luck, it would probably be more than 10 times easier than in other places. However, for some unknown reason, no one had ever done this before. Although Fang Qingshan had entered the clear sky treasured mirror, he did not hand everything over to Xiongqi and sit on the fishing platform. Fate above, communicate with fate, see through the flaws, and look for weaknesses. 50 great Taos, 49 heavenly evolutions, escape into one, a single flaw. Inside the clear sky treasured mirror, Fang Qingshan did not hesitate to cast the little destiny art and escape. His entire body was enveloped by an extremely mysterious aura. It was as though he was the embodiment of fate, yet it also seemed as though he had jumped out of the 3 realms and was not part of the 5 elements. He was an anomaly, his gaze piercing through the 3 realms. Although he had the talisman refined from Pansu, the clear sky treasured mirror, and Xiongqi, Fang Qingshan still felt that it wasn't safe. He wanted to find the weakest spot in the spatial tide and attack it. That way, he could achieve twice the results with half the effort. The heavenly waves aged easily, but the heat could not stay. After an unknown period of time, Fang Qingshan's voice suddenly sounded in Xiongqi's ears. "Quick there!" Xiongqi's nerves had been tense the entire time. When it heard Fang Qingshan's instructions, it did not hesitate at all. "Go!" Following Fang Qingshan's instructions, Xiongqi shot out the Pansu talisman at lightning speed. Buzz! More than 10 talismans were instantly activated, bursting with boundless divine light. Each of these talismans was equivalent to an itinerant immortal's attack. Although it wasn't his full strength, it was at least 70 to 80% of his strength. The power unleashed by such a talisman was something that even people from Hongjun Tiandao or figures like the levitating sages would be severely injured if they didn't dodge it, even if they didn't die on the spot. Needless to say, the 10 talismans were unleashed at the same time. It was unknown if Pan Su was proficient in some secret technique, or if the talismans were personally refined by Pan Su and their auras were connected, or if there was some mutation. It was fine to activate the talismans individually, but activating them together instantly caused a chain reaction. However, the activated talismans did not immediately explode. Instead, they were like array flags in midair, intertwining and forming one. Boom! An earth-shattering sound was emitted as all the talismans vanished. In their place, an illusory figure appeared. This figure was filled with ethereal, immortal chi. Although it wasn't alive, it still made people look up to it. Of course, this was only to Feng Qingshan and company. To Qiongqi, such a person wasn't even qualified to be his food when he was at his peak. The figure condensed by the talismans was naturally Pan Su. He stretched out his hand, which was even larger than a mountain, and slammed it at the spatial tide. Kaboom! After this attack, the entire spatial tide shook. It was as though a natural disaster had descended. Ferocious cracks that resembled venomous dragons penetrated through everything. They intersected and spanned across the spatial tide. The originally chaotic spatial tide was now filled with cracks. These cracks intersected with each other as though the entire spatial tide was beginning to collapse. Great! Seeing this scene, Qiongqi was overjoyed. Slash! With a flip of his hand, a sword appeared in his hand. A sword beam seemed to illuminate the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The sharpness seemed to be able to pierce through the starry universe. All heaven's sword. A sword beam froze the 3,000 worlds. It was a ripping sound, like the sound of silk being torn. The spatial tide, which had already been shattered by Pan Su's talisman, finally couldn't bear the burden and revealed a space-time passageway. Go! Seeing this scene, Qiongqi didn't dare to hesitate at all. This was the attack of Pan Su's talisman and the All-Heaven Sword. If they missed this moment, when the spatial tide swept over again, they could only use the life-saving talisman left by Sage Ji Lo. If that happened, it would be like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut, and the loss outweighed the gain. Suddenly, the Haotian treasured mirror shone brightly, and an immeasurable amount of crystal light splashed out. While reinforcing the newly opened passageway, it communicated with the power of space in the spatial tide and activated space freeze. Then it wrapped the 9 Doubts cauldron in Qiongqi, and with a swoosh, entered. Just as Qiongqi had just burrowed in, there was a loud rumble. It was as though the seas had collapsed. The boundless power of time and space surged, stirring up huge waves. The sound was so loud that the entire Xinhuang Great World could hear it clearly. Chapter 383. In fact, it wasn't just the black-yellow Great World. Even people from other worlds had heard the commotion. Just as Feng Qingshan thought, even though the spatial tide had yet to reach its weakest point, this was still the place where the Tianwu treasury was hidden. Those who were interested in getting a share of the loot would pay attention to this place. It was fine if there was no commotion, but once there was a rustle of grass in the wind, they would immediately look over. This time, Qiongqi broke through the spatial tide. Because he was prepared and sealed the space with the 9 Suspicions cauldron, no one noticed the abnormality immediately. However, after Qiongqi entered the Tianwu treasure vault and took away the 9 Suspicions cauldron, the space was no longer sealed. The power of the spatial tide instantly attracted the attention of those who should be paying attention. Black-yellow Great World. Exquisite paradise. On the crystal throne in Golden Mount Miru, Venerable Ling Long's eyes slightly opened. Her gaze instantly shifted to the sky above the space-time tide. Violent rumbles, earth-shattering waves, and tumbling space-time energy all indicated that this place wasn't peaceful. Not long after Venerable Ling Long arrived, a furnace emitting an eternal aura appeared. Ling Long, you're the first to come here. Do you know what happened? Supreme Emperor Heaven's voice sounded. It was the eternal, immortal furnace of Supreme One sect. Without waiting for Venerable Ling Long to speak, people or objects appeared one after another in the form of projections. Emperor Mirror, Feng Baiyu, and the three Ascension Saints came. Doomsday Eye, Ing Xiantian came. Earth Emperor's Book, Su Xiui came. Five Elements Planet, Demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss came. Changing constantly, seemingly real yet illusory, unpredictable. Old Man, Mental Demon came. These were all from the black-yellow Great World. There was also the Buddha realm. A lotus platform appeared, entangled with karma, and Buddha light shone in all directions. Dragon realm, domineering, majestic, and supreme dragon roars resounded. Boundless world, boundless universe, boundless universe, boundless universe, boundless universe. Holy light, great world. Tidal world, investiture of God's great world. Dark world, and so on. Even the God race had people who appeared openly. For a time, all kinds of people came. Some of the people here were enemies. Some were enemies, some were friends, and some were friends. Their relationships were complicated. But regardless of the relationship, everyone held themselves back when gathered together. After all, this was only a projection and not their true bodies. And the people who could appear here were either powerhouses or powerhouses with impressive mental fortitude. Furthermore, it was imperative to figure out what had happened to the spatial tide. Amipa, Venerable Ling Long, you're the first person to arrive here. Tell me your opinion. An old monk with a solemn expression on the lotus throne bowed to Venerable Ling Long. This was one of the 10 earthly bodhisattvas of the Buddhist sects, and he was very close to becoming a Buddha. The Buddhist name was different from the immortal Tao name. The immortal Tao was separated by the fleshly body, divine abilities, longevity, and immortalhood. Buddhism was named after Bodhisattva and Buddha. The Bodhisattva of Buddhism was equivalent to the giant of immortality. They did not differentiate between longevity, immortality, and grotto heaven. Instead, they used one land, two lands, all the way to 10 lands to correspond to the 10 states of immortality. Reaching the level of bodhisattva of the 10 earthly bodhisattva was equivalent to having half a foot into the realm of Buddha, comparable to Venerable Ling Long. This was an ancient Buddhist almighty. That's right. What exactly happened here? Venerable Ling Long, please tell us. That's right. Could it be that someone has entered Tianwu Treasure Vault? That's impossible, unless it's an immortal or an immortal tool. Even Venerable Ling Long can't shake the spatial tide. As soon as the almighty Buddhist spoke, the others either asked Venerable Ling Long to speak or began to discuss among themselves. I'm just half a step ahead of all of you. Although Venerable Ling Long was a woman, her aura wasn't any weaker than a man's. She glanced at the crowd and said faintly, "When I came here, I did discover traces of ceiling formations and faint immortal aura in the vicinity. It seems like someone is trying to enter the Tianwu Treasure Vault before us." What? There's really such a daring person? Who? Who has such a great ability to make such a big movement? Immortal energy? Could it be that someone used an immortal tool? Hearing Venerable Ling Long's words, the crowd couldn't help but discuss. Isn't it easy to find out who it is? We could just turn back time and find out. At this time, Heavenly Consort Wu Mo of the God race suddenly spoke. She was the consort of the head of the God race's 7 God emperors, Indra. Her prestige was even higher than Indra. She was the only existence who had comprehended the secret of the world tree. She wasn't restrained by the world tree and could cultivate with the help of the world tree, just like humans. However, she was suppressed by the emperor brush in ancient times and had just broken free not long ago. Her strength had yet to recover. Even so, no one present dared to look down on her. That's right, turn back time. That's right. Why didn't we think of that before? Cut the crap. Let's do it. Hearing heavenly consort Wu Mo's words, the crowd couldn't help but come to a sudden realization. Indeed, the onlookers see the game more clearly. Turn back time. For a moment, almost everyone attacked at the same time, wanting to find out the truth. With a wave of her hand, circles were drawn in midair one after another. Shockingly, a water mirror naturally appeared in midair. Then it rapidly enlarged. A beam of white light shot out and quickly scanned the vicinity of the space-time tide. Whoosh! On the illusory water mirror, many realistic scenes quickly appeared one after another. The first image was of the Nine Doubts cauldron transforming into a beam of light and flying into the space-time tunnel. The second image was of a Qiangqi holding a treasured mirror that looked like an emperor mirror. The third image was gone. Everyone present had different cultivation levels and techniques. Some could only see the first image, but even the Buddhist almighty, who were proficient in space-time karma, could only see the second image at most. When the third image was about to reveal the all-heaven sword, it disintegrated with a loud bang. Some people tried to forcibly pry into it, but the result was a world crushing towards them. They couldn't resist at all. At the same time, Fang Qingshan, who had passed through the space-time tide and arrived at a vast ocean, suddenly had a thought. Then, the all-heaven chessboard that had been floating above his head moved. The chessboard, which was like an inescapable net, and the chess pieces that were constructed by a world, suddenly shone brightly. What time reversal? What karma traction? Everything was suppressed by the all-heavens chessboard here. As Fang Qingshan continued to grow, the all-heavens chessboard could finally be considered to have achieved minor success. With the blessing of boundless destiny, it was comparable to the eternal immortal cauldron, the everlasting chaos diagram, and the others. In fact, it might even surpass them. Chapter 384. Damn it, how can this be? Where did that Qiangqi come from? How can he have such a high cultivation level? There's also a treasure cauldron and a treasure mirror. Although they aren't immortal artifacts, I'm afraid they're comparable to the Emperor Mirror and the Human Emperor Brush, which have fallen grade. Ba, I didn't expect that we could only see so little information. It seems like Qiangqi, who caused such a commotion, has a treasure that can conceal the secrets of heaven. The Bodhisattva of 10 earthly realms chanted and analyzed. There are two pressing matters at hand. One is whether Qiangqi has entered the spatial tide, and the other is whether we should enter immediately. Grandmaster is right. Heavenly consort Wu Mo nodded in agreement. From what we saw, Qiangqi should have entered Tianwu Treasury. After all, he used some unknown method to open up a tunnel. In addition, his cultivation level isn't any weaker than Grandmaster or Immortal Reverend. It's almost certain that he'll enter. As for us, since Qiangqi has entered, what else is there to say? Of course, we'll enter immediately. Before Heavenly Consort Wu Mo could finish, Supreme Emperor Heaven interrupted her. Great fella, Supreme Solitary Sect had been coveting the Tianwu Treasury for a long time. The reason why they kept sending resources to Hua Tiandu, other than to divide the emergent sect and nurture those close to Supreme Solitary Sect, was because they wanted a share of the loot when the treasury opened. However, the current situation was that Hua Tiandu's Great Desolation ancient furnace had been stolen. Tianwu Treasury hadn't opened yet, but someone had already entered. If they didn't enter now, they wouldn't even have any leftovers when the treasury opened. After all, those who were slow would get nothing. Yes, enter immediately. Enter immediately. Everyone, let's join forces and split open the spatial tide. Supreme Emperor Heaven's words represented the thoughts of the masses. After all, the treasury was right in front of them. Originally, everyone had a chance, but someone had entered ahead of time. If they waited for the spatial tide to weaken, not even a strand of hair would be left. Since that's the case, let's attack together. At this moment, there was no longer any conflict between them. They were united and united. All right. The moment he said that, the space in front of the spatial tide suddenly changed. In the boundless space-time, spatial tunnels were opened one after another. One was connected to the Buddha realm, the dragon realm, the void god realm, the limitless world, and the myriad worlds. There was only one destination, the spatial tide. Not long after, one silhouette after another walked out. Although they did not release their auras, each of them seemed to be able to suppress the heavens and earth. This time, the ones who came here were naturally their real bodies. Let's do it together. Seeing that most of the people had arrived, Venerable Ling Long called out to them and began to fight. When I gained eternal life, millions upon millions of worlds and all living things entered the immortal world. Time flowed like water, and so did the dead. When I gained eternal life, all the heavens, all the living beings and the billions of tiny specks of dust will be free when they utter my name, limitless and infinite. When I attain immortality, all space-time, the past and the future, all the stars will crumble into dust. Everything is like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, and a shadow, like dew or lightning. This is how it should be viewed. Immediately after Venerable Ling Long was the Buddha clan's 10 earthly bodhisattva, who sat on the Karma lotus throne. A divine pestle appeared in his hand, glaring fiercely. When the pestle smashed down, it seemed like it was going to split the heavens and earth. Doomsday calamity, I attain eternal life. Boundless calamity, Chi descended, as if the heavens and earth would die, and all living things would die. However, in the midst of death, slaughter, destruction, and nirvana, a furnace rose slowly, emitting boundless divine light, deducing the profound meaning of eternity. Limitless star array, heavenly cycle stars. Immediately after, the people of the limitless world also made their moves. 360 ancient giants, whose weakest was an undying body, attacked at the same time, activating the limitless origin picture, emitting boundless starlight, deducing the sea of stars, shaking the stars, forming a torrent-like meteor shower that smashed towards the spatial tide. Conferring gods on behalf of heaven. My will is heaven's will. 6 mountains smashed down. It was the Great Conferring God Technique that the people of the Great Conferring God Technique, which is a Peerless Tao artifact, level 6-eyed God Seal tablet. Great 5 Elements Technique. Great Light Technique. Great Darkness Technique. Great Heart Magic Technique. Great Yin-Yang Technique. Great Reincarnation Technique. In an instant, hundreds of the 3,000 great Daos, or divine abilities that were on par with them, were displayed. However, there were also immortal artifacts like the Eternal Immortal Furnace, the Heavenly Emperor Mirror, Earth Emperor's Book, Human Emperor Brush, Mount Meru, 6-eyed God Seal Tablet, and other Peerless Tao artifacts. Among the people here, even the weakest one was at the creation realm, not to mention the number 1 person in the world like Venerable Ling Long, Demon Venerable Scarlet Abyss, and Bodhisattva 10 Earths. With so many people working together, even if they didn't use their full strength, they used at least 60% to 70% of it. Their combined strength was not inferior to Cheong Chi's previous attack. Although the spatial tide had changed a little after Cheong Chi's previous attack, making it more powerful, it could only be separated like a curtain, revealing a space-time tunnel. Putting aside the fact that everyone worked together to open the space-time tunnel. However, Fang Qingshan already knew that something bad was about to happen when they used the time reversal technique. Even though he had the upper hand, others still found out about it. Moreover, if he didn't act quickly, it would be troublesome when they caught up. Therefore, Huang Xiaolong decided not to come out, allowing Cheong Chi to act as he pleased. Using the fastest method possible, Huang Xiaolong first obtained the Blazing Dragon Cauldron and the tidal streamer from the 5 Elements treasures. Then he entered the Tianwu treasury and snatched the key of the Desolate God. Cheong Chi naturally obeyed Fang Qingshan's orders. After the spatial tide, Fang Qingshan and the others entered the Weak Waters Formation outside the Tianwu treasury. The Weak Waters Formation was famous for the saying, 3,000 weak waters, I only take 1 ladle. It described loyalty and beautiful love, But the truth was that the weak waters formation was poisonous water that could melt anything. Even high-grade Tao artifacts would suffer great damage if they were to enter it. Only peerless Tao artifacts could remain unscathed. And in this weak waters formation, one of Fang Qingshan's targets, the Black Emperor tidal streamer, was suppressing the formation. Although Fang Qingshan ordered Xiongqi to go all out, it didn't mean that he didn't care about anything else. Just like before the spatial tide, although Fang Qingshan couldn't act personally due to his cultivation base, he could still act as a sidekick to reduce the difficulty of the attack and increase the speed of the formation. He cast the 5 elements Tao art, Little Destiny art, and the 1 escape art to sense the location of the Black Emperor tidal streamer, searching for the formation's flaws. Chapter 385. The weak water matrix was very powerful, and there was also the Black Emperor tidal banner, a peerless Tao treasure, guarding the eye of the matrix. It was an ordinary grotto heaven. If someone in the cosmic light realm entered here, it would be difficult for them to escape. Even if a creator realm cultivator came here, they would not be able to break the matrix in a short time. Unfortunately, he had encountered the combination of Fang Qingshan and Xiongqi. Xiongqi's cultivation was high enough that he could break through with brute force. No matter what matrix it was, he could break it. It was only a matter of time. What about Fang Qingshan? He was the most proficient in the 5 elements Tao. Although he also cultivated the Thunder Tao, the Sword Tao, the Yin-Yang Tao, Space, Fate, and so on, his fundamental Tao was still in the 5 elements. He combined the 5 elements Tao of Shu Mountain with the eternal 5 elements art. He used the 5 elements to deduce Yin and Yang, mixed Yuan, 8 trigrams, Zhou Tian, and even time, space, fate, and karma. It could be said that if not for his low cultivation level, even the Scarlet Abyss Demon Venerable's attainments in the 5 elements Tao would not be his match. In addition, he cultivated the Little Destiny art and the Escape art. He used the 5 elements as karma and connected them. He could find a flaw in a perfect matrix. With Xiongqi's cultivation, as long as he found the flaw in a matrix, breaking it would be a piece of cake. If this was not just the weak water matrix, if the Yellow Spring Grand Emperor had not stolen the 5 mountain soul-subduing blade, the celestial slaughtering sword, and the giant wood puppet of Emperor Sang, and broken the 3 matrices, causing the 5 elements to be flawed, Xiongqi would have needed to spend some effort to break the matrix. But now? Xiongqi exhaled and raised his eyebrows. The essence Qi behind him was like a pillar, and his blood Qi shot into the sky. It was like snow splashing and thunder surging, fiddling with pearls and jade. Slash! Then he raised the 3-feet heaven sword in his hand and slashed at the flaw in the matrix like the 5 pillars splitting the mountain. At first, the sound of the sword could not be heard, but after a while, there was the sound of metal and stone. Then, the sound of jade rose, layer by layer. It sounded like the roar of a dragon, like the cry of a phoenix in the 9 heavens, like the roar of a tiger in the mountains. Crack, crack, crack. As the sound of the sword rang out, it was as if the great sage, heaven's equal, was brandishing his golden cudgel, bringing with it a power that could shake the heavens and the earth. The entire formation was suddenly in a precarious situation. The runes and restrictive spells let out sounds of being overwhelmed, and hideous cracks began to appear in the entire space, giving off a cracking sound that seemed to be real. Although the All-Heaven Sword was still the same All-Heaven Sword, the power it displayed in Xiongqi's hands seemed to be able to cut open the gate to the immortal world. Fang Qingshan couldn't help but sigh in amazement. Sure enough, cultivation is the foundation of everything. Seeing this scene, Fang Qingshan could not help but sigh. In his memory, there were many young people with weak cultivation who relied on the treasures in their hands to run amok and crush old devils or senior experts who had cultivated for many years. For example, the 3 heroes and 2 clouds in Mount Shu and the 3rd-generation disciples of the clan of enlightenment in the investiture of the gods. But this was just neglecting the essentials. Magic treasures, elixirs, trump cards, and so on were all external things. Only by sticking to one's original heart, true nature, and wholeheartedly focusing on the way could one really reach the peak. Otherwise, once one was obsessed with the power of magic treasures and elixirs, and blindly wanted to take the shortcut to the end, one would eventually put the cart before the horse. Understanding this, although Feng Qingshan's cultivation did not improve, he had not had time to consolidate his cultivation after breaking through to the Tao Insight realm. But at this moment, his cultivation was as solid as gold, and even his whole person was like an eminent monk who had achieved enlightenment. His whole body was filled with a gentle Buddha nature, which made people want to get close to him at first sight. It was a great progress in cultivation. Not to mention the great progress in cultivation of Feng Qingshan. When Xiongqi slashed down with his sword, the cold sword light crossed the void, endless, and seemed to fill the whole world. Sharp, swift, disdainful, and domineering. Unyielding, vast, and unstoppable. Almost in the blink of an eye, the entire formation could not help but collapse, and the endless essence of the weak water set off a water storm. Then, as the core treasure of the weak water formation, the Black Emperor tidal streamer revealed its figure. A small and exquisite streamer stood in the void, fluttering in the wind, surrounded by endless weak water. This weak water was more than 10 times more condensed than the weak water in the previous formation. Not only was it more powerful, but it was also full of spirituality. But in the weak water beads, some transparent water gods were born, wearing water armor and holding tridents. It was similar to the sun and moon divine spirits that Feng Qingshan had previously collected in the sun and moon void. The only difference was that the sun and moon divine spirits were born from the heavens and could connect to the immortal realm. After a certain period of cultivation, if there was a chance, they might also be able to ascend. These water gods, on the other hand, were just creatures born from the Black Emperor tidal streamer. Although they were not weaker than the ancient giants, they could not absorb the vitality of the immortal realm. Of course, these were not important. What was important was that the Black Emperor tidal streamer seemed to have sensed the threat and was about to fly away. The Black Emperor tidal streamer was one of the 5 elements treasures refined by Venerable Panwu. It was a peerless Tao weapon. Although it was not as good as the Emperor brush, which had cultivated to the state of being one with the world, it was not weaker than those grotto heavens, cosmic state experts, and even those in the creator state. Without some means, it would be extremely difficult to subdue it. However, what kind of person was Qiongqi? He was an immortal golden immortal in the past. Even though he was not as strong as before, he still stood at the peak of the 3,000 great worlds. How could he let go of a duck that was already in his mouth? Freeze! But hearing Qiongqi's soft roar, the Haotian treasure mirror flashed, and the entire space instantly came to a standstill. Even the Black Emperor tidal streamer that wanted to escape was directly frozen in the void. Come! Then, Qiongqi waved his hand and took the Black Emperor tidal streamer in his hand. Then, he said in a deep voice, "Take us to subdue the Emperor Flame Dragon Cauldron now, or I will kill you directly." Qiongqi's voice was low and flat, but in the ears of the Black Emperor tidal streamer's artifact spirit, it was like a golden bell that showed off its sharpness. Damn it, the tide of space and time has not weakened yet. Where did such an expert come from? He actually broke the array with a wave of his hand and captured me. In the core space of the Black Emperor tidal streamer, there was a beautiful woman in black clothes. Her whole body was condensed from the essence of water, and there were many water chi runes on her body that deduced the origin of water. At this moment, her face was filled with annoyance and fear. She could hear the strong killing intent in Qiongqi's voice and knew that if she really did not do as he said, she would immediately be killed. Most importantly, facing Qiongqi, she felt as if she was facing her old master, Venerable Panwu. Okay, I will take you there immediately. Not daring to hesitate, the artifact spirit nodded repeatedly. Chapter 386. A wise man submits to circumstances. Not bad. Qiongqi nodded in satisfaction at the Black Emperor title streamer's words. In Shushan, although magic treasures had spirituality, they did not have weapon spirits. Therefore, Qiongqi did not care about weapon spirits. Moreover, he knew that his young master did not like to use weapon spirits when using Dao treasures. Therefore, if the Black Emperor title streamer's weapon spirit dared to resist stubbornly, he would immediately obliterate it. As for not having the Black Emperor title streamer's weapon spirit to lead the way, it would only take a little more time. At this moment, if Fang Qingshan had not sensed that Venerable Ling Long and the others were preparing to join forces to open up the spatial tide, Qiongqi would not have even asked. Wait a minute. At this moment, Fang Qingshan, who was in the clear sky treasured mirror, suddenly spoke and flew out. Young master, is there anything else? Seeing Fang Qingshan, Qiongqi hurriedly bowed. Seeing this scene, the Black Emperor title streamer's weapon spirit shuddered, and its face was full of disbelief. Qiongqi was an existence that surpassed hollow immortal and perfected immortal. Venerable Ling Long was an existence that could almost tear open the gates of the immortal realm and ascend. Yet it actually submitted to Fang Qingshan, a grotto heaven realm cultivator. This simply overturned the Black Emperor title streamer's worldview. Is he the reincarnation of some big shot? Or is his background so profound that even hollow immortals and perfected immortals have to bow down to him? For a moment, the Black Emperor title streamer's weapon spirit's mind was filled with thousands of thoughts. Putting aside the Black Emperor title streamer's weapon spirit's wild imagination, the reason why Fang Qingshan asked them to stop at this moment was to prepare some arrangements to slow down the progress of Venerable Ling Long and the others. Set up the weak water formation again, quickly. Fang Qingshan directly instructed the Black Emperor title streamer's weapon spirit. Oh, okay. When the Black Emperor title banner's artifact spirit heard Fang Qingshan speak to it, it was as if it had just awoken from a dream. Not daring to hesitate, it hurriedly shook the Black Emperor title banner in its hand. In an instant, the weak water array reappeared. It was just that without the Black Emperor title banner as the core of the array, it did not live up to its name. It did not even have half of its original power. Although Qiongqi and the Black Emperor title banner's artifact spirit found it strange, neither of them questioned it. The Black Emperor title banner's artifact spirit needed to be careful with its words and actions, while Qiongqi knew that Fang Qingshan would not speak without thinking. As expected, after the Black Emperor title banner's artifact spirit successfully rearranged the weak water formation, Fang Qingshan waved his hand and tossed out 9 small and 1 large thunder pearl. He placed the largest one in the center of the Black Emperor title banner, while the other 9 small ones were casually scattered within the weak water formation. 9-child mother secret devil thunder. Fang Qingshan obtained it from the Soul Eater sacred beast, the dragon transformation gourd. Back then, the soul-devouring sacred beast had wanted to use this thing to plot against Fang Qingshan, but it had not expected that Fang Qingshan would see through it. It went for wool and came home shorn. As long as one of these thunder pearls was detonated, all of them would explode. Once they exploded, if caught off guard, the power would not be weaker than a high-grade Dao artifact. After doing all this, Fang Qingshan did not stop. After all, although the 9-child mother secret devil thunder was powerful, it depended on who it was dealing with. This time, the weakest of the people who came were masters of the creation realm, or rising stars like Fang Han who had treasures in their hands. The 9-child and mother mystery demon thunder could not deal with them at all. But Fang Qingshan waved his hand and threw out another 5 talismans, which were exactly the same as the talismans that had torn open the tide of space and time and revealed Pan Sha's true body. Go! Fang Qingshan endured the pain and linked the 5 talismans together with the 5 elements formation, then threw them into the center of the array, using the talismans to replace the Black Emperor title banner. Then, he let the largest 9-child mother secret devil thunder fall into the center of the 5 elements formation. Once the 9-child mother secret devil thunder was detonated, the 5 talismans would also explode instantly. Hee, If not prepared, even an expert like Venerable Ling Long would be flustered. All right, let's go. After doing all this, Fong Qingshan turned into a stream of light and flew into the Haotian treasure mirror. Hearing Fong Qingshan's words, the Black Emperor Tidal Banner's artifact spirit quivered and quickly led the way. She finally understood why a great expert like Qiong Qi would submit to Fong Qingshan. In order to trick others, he casually took out 5 talismans. Judging from the aura of these talismans, the Black Emperor Tidal Banner's artifact spirit knew that a single talisman could severely injure her, let alone 5 talismans combined. Just the thought of that scene made her heart palpitate. Putting this aside for the time being, with the Black Emperor Tidal Banner leading the way, Qiong Qi soon arrived at the place where the Emperor Yin Fire Dragon Cauldron was located. If the Black Emperor Tidal Banner and the Emperor Yin Fire Dragon Cauldron were placed together, it would be like a replica of the Sun and Moon Void. In front of them was a sea of fire, like magma in the Earth's core. Within it, fire-attributed living beings were roaring and wreaking havoc. Fire Dragon, Fire Phoenix, Vermilion Bird, Immortal Bird, Bai Fong, Three-Legged Golden Crow. Their ferocious auras were overflowing. In the center, in the core space, a huge cauldron was floating. It was as tall as a person and stood on 3 legs, looking like a human. On the body of the cauldron, there was a human face on each side. The power it emitted was enough to burn a planet and melt a small planet into magma. This was the Emperor Yin Fire Dragon Cauldron. The Emperor Yin Fire Dragon Cauldron and the Black Emperor Tidal Banner were very familiar with each other. When the Black Emperor Tidal Banner arrived, the Emperor Yin Fire Dragon Cauldron sensed it. Black Emperor Tidal Banner, you can't defeat me, yet you found a helper. How preposterous! Seeing Qiong Qi beside the Black Emperor Tidal Banner, the Emperor Yin Fire Dragon Cauldron was shocked and furious. Even though the 5 elements supported each other, when only fire and water were left, they were incompatible. In the Tianwu Treasury, the Emperor Yin Fire Dragon Cauldron and the Black Emperor Tidal Banner had fought each other countless times. As a set of 5 elemental treasures, they had a good understanding of each other. After so many years of fighting, they knew each other even better. The Black Emperor Tidal Banner ignored him. A grasshopper at the end of autumn wouldn't last long. Senior, attack from here. This time, there was no need for Fong Qingshan to use his art of escape and Little Destiny art. The Black Emperor Tidal Banner pointed out the Emperor Yin Fire Dragon Formation's weak point and said respectfully to Qiong Qi. Seeing this, the Emperor Yin Fire Dragon Cauldron's face changed. He initially thought that Qiong Qi was just a helper invited by the Black Emperor Tidal Banner. He didn't expect Qiong Qi to be completely different for what he imagined. Following which, when Qiong Qi released his aura, the Emperor Yin Fire Dragon Cauldron's face changed. Before Qiong Qi could break the formation, the Emperor Yin Fire Dragon Cauldron flew out on its own, trying to escape. What a cautious Emperor Yin Fire Dragon Cauldron. Seeing this, Qiong Qi couldn't help but admire the Emperor Yin Fire Dragon Cauldron. Seeing that the situation wasn't right, Qiong Qi immediately retreated. If it was someone else, they might have really let him escape. Unfortunately, the person he was facing was Qiong Qi. Freeze! With a soft roar, Qiong Qi followed in the Black Emperor Tidal Banner's footsteps. Chapter 387. All right. Fong Qingshan was overjoyed when he saw the Black Emperor Tidal Streamer and the Flame Emperor Fire Dragon Cauldron fall into his hands. And then he hurriedly urged, "Quick, Black Emperor Tidal Streamer, lead the way to the true vault." He knew that time was of the essence. Even with the space-time tide and the means he left behind, it would only delay Venerable Ling Long and the others for a short while. If he did not hurry, it would not be so easy to get the key of Rage God. Yes, hearing Huang Xiaolong's words, the Black Emperor Tidal Streamer's spirit immediately brought Qiong Qi to the Tianwu Treasury's treasury. In the past, when Venerable Pan Wu built the Tianwu Treasure Vault, in addition to the weak water grant array that guarded the vault, he also set up many fake vaults to mislead the public. The most precious key of Rage God in the Tianwu treasury was in the True Vault. Without the map of the Tianwu treasury or a fated person, it would take a lot more time and effort to locate the real treasury. With this much time and effort, one would have lost the initiative a long time ago. Fortunately, not only did Fang Qingshan obtain a part of the Tianwu treasury's map from the Soul Eater's sacred beast, Chunan, and Star Sovereign's divine soul, he also had the Black Emperor title streamer to lead the way. It was able to locate the true vault from the messy fake vaults. There was a loud boom, just as Fang Qingshan's group collected the Flame Emperor Fire Dragon Cauldron and headed to the Tianwu treasury. An earth-shattering sound came from behind. Boom, 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 boom. In the blink of an eye, more than a dozen powerful auras, filled with supreme auras, burst forth and shot into the sky. Countless divine abilities exploded, countless artifacts flew, and shockwaves swept in all directions. Space-time shattered, and black holes appeared. Damn it, what a treacherous guy. Don't let me catch you, or I'll tear you apart. At the same time, angry curses filled the air. Even Venerable Ling Long, Bodhisattva 10 Earths, and demon ancestor Scarlet Abyss wore ugly expressions. Obviously, the means that Fang Qingshan had arranged in the weak water formation had worked. With the means of these people, a mere weak water formation was naturally not taken seriously by them. Under a moment of carelessness, they were tricked by Fang Qingshan, so that everyone was implicated. Although Fang Qingshan didn't see it with his own eyes, he could imagine it just by thinking about it. He chuckled, but the urgency in his heart grew stronger. He didn't let the Black Emperor title streamer lead the way. Instead, he had Qiongqi use the clear sky treasure mirror to store the Black Emperor title streamer. Then, according to Qiongqi's instructions, Qiongqi used the greater teleportation technique and the clear sky treasure mirror to fly toward the sky martial arsenal at lightning speed. Not long after, Qiongqi stopped in front of a crystal wall. In a trance, it seemed to have returned to the Crystal Palace in the Iron Saber Gorge. This was the world rampart, the condensation of the nomological laws, the power of the immortal world, and the power of the Xianhuang Great World. It was unknown how many billions of years it took to form. The Tianwu treasury was right above. Rows upon rows of dazzling gold and jade treasure vaults were arranged neatly, resembling precious jewels embedded on the walls, dazzling the eyes. However, no one could tell which was real and which was fake. There were tens of thousands of treasure vaults. Almost all of them were carved from the same mold. Even their auras were exactly the same, making it impossible to tell them apart. There were a total of 129,600 of these treasure vaults. If other people were to come here, they would immediately be dazzled. A moment of carelessness would cause them to get lost in these fake vaults. If they made the wrong move, they would be trapped for thousands of years. Fortunately, Fang Qingshan had already obtained a portion of the Tianwu treasury's map from the Limitless Star Palace. With the help of the Black Emperor title streamer and the fact that he had cultivated the Grand Origin technique, he could be considered as one of the fated people of the Tianwu treasury. Executing the Little Destiny technique, he was able to establish a connection with karma and quickly pinpoint the location of the treasury. In fact, not to mention the real vaults, even these fake vaults were exceptionally precious. If not for the fact that the treasures used were carefully selected, how could they pass off as genuine? If he could plunder these fake vaults, it would be comparable to the secret vaults of the 10 immortal Dao sects. Unfortunately, there was not enough time. Fang Qingshan could only reluctantly part with these treasures. After all, his main target was the Rage God Key. Compared to the Rage God Key, these fake vaults paled in comparison. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, Fang Qingshan suddenly heard a burst of air-piercing sound. Clearly, Venerable Ling Long and the others had caught up. Hurry up! Fang Qingshan's expression changed as he urged Qiongqi. Hearing this, Qiongqi did not say a word and directly locked onto a treasure vault. The Hao Tian treasure mirror in his hand emitted a crystal light and fixed it in place. Then, with a flick of the all-heaven sword, it picked up a puppet origami that was full of wisdom and was wearing a Taoist instrument. Then, with another slash of his sword, it turned into a stream of light and entered. Almost in an instant, after Qiang Qi entered the real vault, the entire treasure vault immediately hid in the void. As soon as he entered the main hall, Fang Qingshan felt as if he had arrived at the limitless Star Palace's pure Yang Sea. Billowing waves of immortal qi assaulted his senses. In many places, the immortal qi condensed into clouds. Clouds turned into rain, and the rain turned into clouds again, repeating the cycle. The only difference between the limitless Star Palace and the limitless Star Palace was that the immortal world's yuan qi here had not been condensed. Without reaching the pseudo-immortal realm, one would not be able to use it perfectly. If it was someone else who came here, that person would probably want to cultivate here for hundreds or thousands of years. Although the immortal world's yuan qi here was abundant, it was nothing compared to what Fang Qingshan had obtained in the limitless Star Palace. Moreover, this trip to the Tianwu treasury was not for the 9 solar holy water or the limitless Star Palace, but for the Rage God Key. Moreover, Venerable Ling Long and the others were eyeing him covetously from behind. Fang Qingshan only sighed for a moment before regaining his senses. Let's go quickly to the depths of the Tianwu treasury. Yes, Qiang Qi didn't hesitate and continued to move deeper into the Tianwu treasury. However, he had no idea if he had taken the wrong path or if he had fallen into an array. Regardless, after flying for a while, there was no end in sight. Stop! Seeing this, Fang Qingshan immediately called for a halt. He came out from the clear sky treasured mirror and looked around. Raising an eyebrow, he slapped his forehead. Immediately, 9 large, exquisite, and translucent Sarira-like pearls flew out and formed the 9-star alignment behind Fang Qingshan's head. Origin Sariras, the symbol of the great origin technique's grand completion. Buzz! In an instant, the entire Tianwu treasury shook. Fang Qingshan could clearly sense a part of the array's restrictions. If he refined it immediately, he would be able to control it. However, this wasn't what Fang Qingshan wanted. He furrowed his brows and touched the space between his eyebrows again. The gate of heaven opened, and a towering tree rose from the clouds, swaying gracefully. It was the World Tree. Although Venerable Pan Wu had placed a restriction on the Tianwu treasury, preventing it from absorbing the outside world's yuan qi, the World Tree was an exception. Chapter 388. Not to mention the Tianwu treasury, even the immortal artifact in the Tai Yuan immortal abode could not isolate the World Tree's ability to connect to the heavens. The celestial qi in the Tianwu treasury was also emitted through the key of the Desolate God. The key of the Desolate God was refined from a section of the World Tree. Although it did not rejuvenate like the World Tree fragment in Fang Qingshan's and Fang Han's hands, it retained the ability to steal the celestial qi. If someone controlled the Great Desolate Ancient Furnace, a high-grade Tao artifact, they could communicate with the key of the Desolate God in the Tianwu treasury. If their cultivation was high enough, if they were lucky enough, if they had enough time, they would be able to control the treasure. In the original trajectory, Hua Tiandu had the Great Desolate Ancient Furnace, but he lacked some luck. Now, he did not even have the Great Desolate Ancient Furnace. Although he had cultivated the Great Origin technique, his harvest was not as good as before. Although Fang Qingshan did not have the Great Desolate Ancient Furnace, he had also cultivated the Great Origin technique. He could be said to be a fated person. In addition, the All-Heaven chessboard could suppress his luck. Although he was not as lucky as Fang Han, the immortal world son of luck, in terms of luck, he was still lucky and avoided danger. In addition, he also had the World Tree, and the growth of the World Tree was far greater than the one in Fang Han's hands. After all, not only did he integrate the large piece of the World Tree fragment in Hongjun Tiandao Pavilion, but he also integrated the 9-section staff, which had the same effect as the key of the Desolate God. He also absorbed a lot of energy from the pure Yang Sea in the Wuji Star Palace. In terms of power, it was not as powerful as the key of the Desolate God, but its potential was far beyond the key of the desolate god. Of course, the reason why Feng Qingshan took it out was to use it to communicate with the key of the desolate god. Although the world tree was weak, it was the master. Although the key of the desolate god was powerful, it had no vitality and was only a support. Just like when Feng Qingshan used the Great Origin technique after he took out the world tree, the entire cave suddenly produced a louder resonance. Following that, palaces appeared one after another. There was the desolate god palace, where a desolate god king resided. If one were to control it, it would not lose out to the heaven-devouring demon emperor. Even though it was a puppet, it had already gained sentience and was no different from a real person. It guarded the central area and waited for the fated person to bring the great desolation ancient furnace. There was the common life hall. Within it was the fox race's ultimate treasure, the common life seal, a top Grey Dao artifact. It turned out that the seventh princess of the limitless Star Palace Fox clan had made a deal with Feng Han to collect this treasure. The Mirage Palace had a Mirage King, the guardian divine beast of the Mirage Palace. It was also an old monster that had been subdued by venerable immortal Panwu for more than 10,000 years. Its cultivation base was above Feng Qingshan's. Of course, the most important thing was naturally the Zhuwu mirror that held the key of the desolate god. Vaguely, Feng Qingshan sensed the divine pillar that connected to the heavens, exuding a tyrannical aura. Like a key, it opened the gate to the immortal world, and it was constantly communicating with the immortal world. A massive amount of pure yang energy continued to pour down, forming an ocean of 9 solar holy water. Let's go. Feng Qingshan pointed the way for Qiongqi, letting him walk towards the palace where the key of the desolate god was placed. As for the other treasures like the desolate god king and the common life seal, he would naturally come and collect them if he had the time. If he didn't have the time, as long as he could obtain the key of the desolate god, he wouldn't mind giving it up. In the Tianwu treasure vault, apart from being able to absorb the liquid immortal world's yuan qi for 10 breaths to maintain their strength, they couldn't absorb the immortal world's yuan qi at all. Inside the Tianwu treasury, there were layers upon layers of restrictions, and chaos energy lingered in the air. There was no place for one to land, and one could only exhaust one's arcane energy to hover in the air. Every step forward required a great deal of energy. If they couldn't replenish their arcane energy, it would be extremely difficult to move forward. Fortunately, Qiongqi's cultivation was unfathomably high. Even though this place was isolated from the immortal world, he still had his inner world to support him. Experts above the World King realm were not afraid of a protracted battle. More importantly, Feng Qingshan's world tree could communicate with the immortal world and the key of the desolate god. Thus, his arcane energy was endless. Therefore, Qiongqi didn't need to worry about the lack of arcane energy. He could move freely as fast as lightning towards the location of the key of the desolate god. Although the Tianwu treasure vault had the desolate god, the Mirage King, and so on, facing Qiongqi who was going all out, they couldn't even muster the courage to resist. As for the restrictions in the mansion, with Qiongqi's cultivation and the myriad heaven sword in his hand, he could easily destroy everything. No matter what the restrictions were, as long as they were in his way, he would destroy them with a single slash. With the fastest speed and the shortest distance, he arrived at his destination. Sky Marshal Hall. This was the true core of the Tianwu treasure vault. Inside the hall, there was a mirror, the Zhuwu mirror. Through the Zhuwu mirror, one could enter the center of the treasure vault, where the key of the desolate god was located. Open! Qiongqi bellowed. The myriad heaven sword in his hand emitted an unprecedented radiance. The sharpness of the radiance seemed to be able to slice the Tianwu treasure vault into 2. The door of the Sky Marshal Great Hall was opened by Qiongqi with a single slash. Stepping in, the first thing that came into view was a mirror hanging in the center of the hall. This mirror was made of bronze, simple and unadorned. It was filled with an ancient, desolate, and mysterious aura. It was comparable to the clear sky treasure mirror, in Fang Qingshan's hand. The Zuwu mirror was the witchcraft great world's boundary stabilizing treasure. The limitless world's boundary stabilizing treasure was the limitless star palace's endless chaos diagram. Comparing it with the Zuwu mirror, one could see how powerful it was. It was a pity that, as a boundary stabilizing treasure, it couldn't easily leave its world. Just like the time when the endless chaos diagram refused to pursue venerable Ling Long and the others. But now, the Zuwu mirror actually appeared in the Tianwu treasure vault and was used as a door. In terms of aura, it was at most comparable to the Heavenly Emperor mirror. Obviously, it was damaged following the destruction of the witchcraft great world in the previous era. Even so, with its material, not even the eternal immortal furnace or the immortal artifact endless chaos diagram could break it. Even the Emperor brush, which had cultivated to the state of being one with heaven and man, could not break it. Only a genuine fortune divine artifact could break the Zuwu mirror. Although Qiongqi's cultivation base was profound and the myriad heaven sword was a killing treasure, it was obvious that it was not up to his ability to break the Zuwu mirror. Of course, if he was given enough time, he could grind it down bit by bit. After all, the Zuwu mirror was no longer the Zuwu mirror at its peak. However, the crux of the problem was that what Fang Qingshan and the others lacked the most was time. Once the people behind them caught up, it would be troublesome for him to compete for the treasure. After all, none of the people behind them were easy to deal with. Chapter 389 Qiongqi didn't believe it. He raised the all-heaven sword, and the sword intent burst out like a dragon and a snake. It was like the Milky Way falling from the ninth heaven, like the Milky Way flowing backwards, like the four seas turning upside down, like the stars falling down, fast, magnificent, changeable, and numerous. As soon as the sword was unleashed, the space shook, and the wind and thunder rose. However, it was useless. Whether it was the sword intent that could destroy the primordial spirit, or the sword chi that could connect heaven and earth, when it fell into the Zuwu mirror, it was like a breeze brushing the surface of a lake, creating a layer of ripples, flowing for a while, and then disappeared. Seeing this, Qiongqi attacked 18 times in a row, but the result was exactly the same. Young master, it seems that this thing can't be broken with my strength. Qiongqi frowned and said with some annoyance, "It's not that you can't break it. It's just that your strength hasn't reached this level yet." Fang Qingshan shook his head and chuckled. In the immortal world, fate reigned supreme, overriding the other 3,000 laws. In the desolation world, Pangu created the heaven and earth, breaking all laws with his strength. Space, time, fate, and karma were all destroyed by his axe. As long as the strength reached a certain limit, even fate, karma, time, and reincarnation could be destroyed, not to mention this trivial Zuwu mirror. If Qiongqi's cultivation recovered, not to mention his peak, even a celestial immortal could easily break this barrier. Unfortunately, time was not on his side. In addition, Fang Qingshan had two methods in his hand that could break all laws with brute force, directly opening the Zuwu mirror. One was to use the talisman left by immortal Ji Lu, but he didn't know if it was safe. But thinking about it, under the celestial immortal, even a top earth immortal would be severely injured. Dealing with a Zuwu mirror that was no longer at its peak should not be too much of a problem. The second was Fang Qingshan's biggest trump card, the all-heaven chessboard. As long as he used the chess pieces of Shu Mountain, Immortal World, and even Desolation World to summon a trace of world projection, breaking the Zuwu mirror would be a piece of cake. However, if this was the case, the cost would be too great. The loss outweighed the gain. After all, Master Ji Lu only had one talisman, and it would be gone once he used it. Moreover, using the all-heaven chessboard would do more harm than good. It would have been fine if he had used pawns like the Three Kingdoms and the Sky Dragon. Unfortunately, these pawns were too weak. The eternal chess piece was now in the source world. Once it was used, it might bring harm to himself. Although the world of desolation had opened, he had not been there yet. It would be difficult to use it. Only Shu Shan was left. However, his cultivation level was still a little weak. Once he used it, it would probably be like the 7 wounding fists. Most importantly, it was fate. The amount of fate consumed to use such a great world was even more painful than when he robbed the limitless Star Palace's pure yang ocean. Moreover, once too much karmic luck was exhausted, then it would cause numerous unexpected calamities and tribulations. It was fine if one lost their fortuitous encounters, but once a calamity arrived, then it wouldn't be fun at all. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, Fang Qingshan did not want to use the All-Heaven chessboard. Apart from using force, there were a few other ways to open the Zuwu mirror. The first method was also the simplest. As long as one had the key left behind by Venerable Panwu Immortal and the Great Desolation Ancient Furnace, it should be easy to open the Zuwu mirror. Unfortunately, Fang Qingshan wanted to open the treasure vault with Fang Han and gave it to him. Thinking about it, he still regretted it. The second method was similar to the Emperor Brush in the original trajectory. As long as one knew the Sorcerer Dao techniques and could communicate with the source world of Zuwu Mirror, one could naturally enter without any effort. Unfortunately, the Sorcerer Dao world had long been destroyed. He was not the Emperor Brush and had never been to the world of desolation. He did not know any Sorcerer Dao techniques. Something's not right. Thinking of this, Fang Qingshan suddenly had a flash of inspiration as if he had grasped something. Sorcerer Dao world, Desolation Wu people, Sorcerer Dao world, Desolation Wu people, Sorcerer Dao world, Desolation Wu people, Wu people, Wu people. I got it. Thousands of thoughts flashed through Fang Qingshan's mind. Suddenly, he slapped his forehead and exclaimed in surprise. The Sorcerer Dao world had indeed been destroyed, and he had not been to the world of desolation. However, the Sorcerer Dao techniques of Wu people might not only exist in these two places. At this moment, Fang Qingshan finally remembered his fundamental Dao techniques of the 5 elements. Fang Qingshan had first embarked on this path because he was influenced by Heisha Wondrous Book. Heisha Wondrous Book was written by Heisha Daoist of Shu Mountain. It was a Dharma technique that led directly to the Golden Immortal Realm. Before the Golden Immortal Realm, it was not inferior to the Tai Ching inheritance of Mount Amei. After the Golden Immortal Realm, there was no Dharma technique. However, even Sky Immortals, Earth Immortals, and even Itinerant Immortals were still out of reach for Fang Qingshan, let alone Golden Immortals. The second half of Heisha Wondrous Book recorded the Dharma technique of the 5 elements of Heisha Daoist lineage, including the Khanate and acquired 5 elements Essential Qi, the Great 5 Elements Annihilation Needle, and so on. As for the first half, it recorded the various secret techniques that Heisha Daoist had collected when he traveled the world. There were Daoist, Unorthodox, Buddhist, and Devil Dao. It could be said to be all-encompassing. The only thing to worry about was that the Daoist and Buddhist Dharma techniques were just some basics. They were not very important and did not have fundamental Dharma techniques. The Devil Dao was too evil, while the Unorthodox Dao was unconventional. Therefore, when Fang Qingshan obtained it, he directly skipped the first half and cultivated the Khanate 5 elements Essential Qi in the second half. However, the various secret techniques recorded in the first half had become his life-saving straw. Shu Mountain inherited the ancient desolation. Although the Celestial Dao was flourishing and the Devil Dao was declining, some things were not lost. For example, the Sorcery Dao. In Shu Mountain, the Southern Devil Dao, which was the Devil Dao that Green Rogue cultivated, had inherited a portion of the ancient Sorcery Dao. It was just that it had changed beyond recognition. The most famous one was the Chiyo's 3-plate scripture that God Crimson Corpse possessed. Although Heisha Daoist did not have the Chiyo's 3-plate scripture, there were other Wu people's Dharma techniques. If it was someone else, even if they had the Wu people's Dharma techniques, it would be too late. After all, the Wu people's Dharma techniques were not easy to comprehend. Most importantly, there was not enough time. However, this was not a problem for Fang Qingshan because he still had the Minor Destiny technique. The Great Door of Eternal Life, the vast power of destiny, I communicate with destiny and sacrifice 5,000 years of my life to condense the sorcery Dao Mystique. Done. Without hesitation, Fang Qingshan chose a sorcery Dao Mystique and sacrificed 5,000 years of his life. Buzz. At the next moment, the power of destiny surged and communicated with the unseen world. An indescribable, unfathomable, yet omnipresent, supreme power descended from the void. Then, a mystique rune took shape in Fang Qingshan's mind at a speed visible to the naked eye. Great! Seeing that, Fang Qingshan cheered in his heart. Go! Without hesitation, Fang Qingshan performed the sorcery Dao Mystique and sent it into the Zuwu mirror. Chapter 390. Buzz. Just as Fang Qingshan's witchcraft theurgy flew into the Zuwu mirror, the ancestral sorcerer mirror, which Xiongqi had used with all his strength, couldn't move even a little bit when he used the all-heaven swords. But now, the mirror was suddenly revived. The bronze mirror seemed to have come to life immediately. A gray light was emitted from it, and the fog was heavy. It was neither immortal nor demon, neither demon nor Buddha. It was like the ancient desolation world, filled with a sense of desolation, ancient and mysterious. Crack, crack. Fang Qingshan's Wu People theurgy was like a key, and the mirror made a sound like it was unlocking a lock. Then, a key appeared in the gray light of the mirror. It was a key, a huge key that had never been seen before. If the ancestral sorcerer mirror was a primitive world, then this key would be the Buzhou Mountain towering between the heavens and the earth. Although it had no roots, once it plunged into the void, there would be an endless stream of celestial energy pouring down like a torrent. Great, great, great! Seeing this scene, Fang Qingshan could not help but be excited. Although Fang Qingshan's witchcraft theurgy did not allow the Zuwu mirror to open a passage for him to enter, it would be much easier. Once the key of the desolation god appeared, things would be much easier. After all, he still had the Tree of World. Among the 3,000 great Daos, destiny is supreme. Sacrifice 10,000 years of lifespan. The Tree of World is the guide. Destiny communication, receive. Fang Qingshan performed the little destiny art again and directly sacrificed 10,000 years of lifespan. If it was someone in the 10,000 longevity realm, just this one time would have probably directly lost their life. However, Fang Qingshan's cultivation had reached the Grotto Heaven realm, and his foundation was unbelievably strong. When he was in the theurgy secret realm, he had broken the shackles of longevity, and his lifespan was more than 10 times that of ordinary Grotto Heaven realm cultivators. To him, as long as the speed of his cultivation was faster than the consumption of his lifespan, everything would not be a problem. Just like how he had exchanged his lifespan for the cultivation of his divine ability. After Fang Qingshan sacrificed his lifespan, an even more surging force of destiny descended on the Zuwu mirror. The world tree above Fang Qingshan's head and the key of the origami in Zuwu's mirror moved at the same time. Kacha! There was a crisp sound that sounded like it was real. With a rumble, a spatial tunnel appeared. Go! Seeing this, Fang Qingshan went in without thinking, and Xiongqi naturally followed closely behind. After entering the Zuwu mirror space, Fang Qingshan felt as though he had returned to the limitless Star Palace's pure Yang Sea. Furthermore, he was in the depths of the pure Yang Sea. This did not seem to be the space of a Zuwu mirror, but the space of pure Yang heavy water. This pure Yang heavy water was different from the limitless Star Palace's pure Yang Sea. The pure Yang Qi contained profound laws, which were the will of the immortal realm. The wild god, Qi, could transform the longevity mystic realm, and now it had come into effect. The pure Yang heavy water contained the laws of longevity. Once a 10th tier god entered it, the effects would be even greater than consuming a longevity fruit. Breaking through to the longevity mystic realm would be as easy as flipping a palm. But now, Fang Qingshan was in no mood to care about this. All his attention was focused on the key of the wild god. World Tree, grand origin skill, connect with the key of the wild god, refine. Fang Qingshan activated the world tree above his head. Thousands of dragon-like roots wrapped around the key of the wild god like an octopus. The world tree grew on the Xuanhuan Great World, connecting heaven and earth. Success and failure were all due to the world tree. The reason the Xuanhuan Great World was known as the number one of the 3,000 Great Worlds was because of the world tree. It was also because of the world tree that the celestial race attacked it. After all, the world tree was the bane of the celestial race. Apart from the heavenly concubine, even the celestial race's sacred king was restrained by the world tree. Therefore, after the celestial race's holy king used the fortune divine artifact's giant axe to chop down the world tree, the entire Xuanhuan Great World declined. Among them, the largest section of the world tree was carried back to the void god world by the celestial race's holy king. The other section was obtained by Panwu Heavenly Venerate and refined into the key of the wild god. It was unknown how many ancient runes were carved on the key of the desolate god. The runes gave off an ancient aura, while the power of the great Genesis technique remained on them. Normally speaking, only those who practiced the great Genesis technique would be able to refine this treasure. However, although the key of the wild god was good, it might not be stronger than the Zuwu mirror that carried him. Fang Qingshan already had many treasures in his possession. The All-Heaven Sword, Tai 5 Smoke Net, Clear Sky Mirror, 9 Suspicions Cauldron, and the last two were no weaker than the key of the wild god. To him, the key of the wild god's greatest use was not to become a peerless Tao artifact and become an immortal artifact, nor was it to open the gate to the world of immortals. It was also not to control the Tianwu treasury, and it was not to grant immortality. Its greatest use was to be devoured by the world tree. If the world tree devoured the key of the wild god, it would immediately grow into the strongest treasure in Fang Qingshan's possession, second only to the All-Heaven chessboard. It was even stronger than the 9 Suspicions Cauldron and Clear Sky Mirror. More importantly, devouring such a large section of the world tree's trunk would allow him to obtain more of the world tree's remnant luck. Most importantly, if Fang Qingshan digested the world tree's inheritance, reaching the creation realm would be a long shot. Putting all these aside, the world tree above Fang Qingshan's head took root on the key of the wild god, and as if it was filled with air, it grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. Taking root, germinating, branching, and growing leaves, the trunk grew like a sesame seed. For a moment, the roots of the world tree were like a ferocious giant dragon. The trunk was like a white jade pillar that supported the sky. It was a purple gold beam that supported the sea. The branches crisscrossed, forming a canopy that soared into the sky. Looking more carefully, the leaves were like chess pieces fluttering in the wind. There were patterns intertwined on them, like stars in the sky, unfathomable. The branches and leaves collided with each other, emitting a clear and melodious sound like a bell. One couldn't help but be immersed in it, feeling refreshed like the sound of heaven. Not long after Fang Qingshan entered the Sky Martial Hall, the people behind him caught up. However, in the face of the real and fake treasury of 1 yuan, let alone those at the World King realm, even revered immortal Ling Long and the others wouldn't be able to tell whether it was real or fake. If they wanted to find it, they could only try their luck. However, there were 2 people among them. Although they had entered the barrier of the world like the others, they were heading towards the real treasury at the fastest speed possible. One of them was Hua Tiandu. Although he had lost the Great Desolation Ancient Furnace, he was still Fang Han's mortal enemy. Moreover, he was the first to cultivate the Great Source Technique and obtain the Great Desolation Ancient Furnace. The other one was Fang Han. Not to mention that he was the son of destiny and was favored by the heavens, he also had the Great Desolation Ancient Furnace in his hands. Therefore, these 2 people arrived at the real treasury in the blink of an eye. Their speed was even faster than revered immortal Ling Long and the Bodhisattva of the 10 Earths. Chapter 391. As soon as Hua Tiandu entered the treasury, he headed straight for the wilderness god palace. He was the fated one of Pan Wu. Otherwise, he would not have obtained the Pan Wu great strength technique and the great wilderness ancient furnace. However, the will of the heavens was not unchangeable. Although he was the fated one of the fated one, he did not grasp the opportunity. Naturally, his fate would change. Even so, Hua Tiandu's understanding of the Tianwu treasury could be said to be among the best among the crowd. Therefore, as soon as he entered the treasury, he went straight to the wilderness god palace. In the ancient war, Venerable Pan Wu killed thousands of deity emperors and refined them into desolate gods. All of them were at least eternal overlords, and the first desolate god was a world king. The first desolate god was hidden in the wilderness god palace. If one could control it, it would be even more powerful than a peerless Tao artifact. Moreover, the wilderness god palace controlled the central control of the Tianwu treasury. Controlling this place was equivalent to controlling 1/10 of the Tianwu forbidden technique. As for Feng Han, after entering the treasury, he headed straight for the great firmament seal. Although Feng Han did not go to the boundless world this time, nor did he plunder the limitless star palace, he still had connections with the 7th princess of the Fox clan. He helped the 7th princess find the great firmament seal, and the 7th princess helped him enter the treasury. Feng Han cultivated the great firmament seal and had the great wilderness ancient furnace. As long as he entered the treasury before the others, he would be able to control the key of the desolate god. Their wishful thinking was very ingenious. Unfortunately, the plans of man outweigh the plans of the heavens. Fang Qingshan had already entered the ancestral wizard mirror and was refining the key of the desolate god. Hua Tiandu obtained the first desolate god, and Feng Han subdued the Mirage King. Whether it was the first desolate god or the Mirage King, they both knew that Xiongqi had entered the Tianwu Great Hall and was probably refining the key of the desolate god. However, none of them told Feng Han or Hua Tiandu. One of the reasons was that it was better to avoid unnecessary trouble. With Xiongqi's cultivation level, let alone the Mirage King, even a number 1 origami would feel fearful just by looking at him from afar. Such a character was not someone they could afford to offend. Furthermore, the Mirage King was captured by Feng Han. He was already unwilling to do so, yet you still expect him to think for you? It was simply wishful thinking. Although Hua Tiandu had obtained the number 1 desolate god, the number 1 desolate god had long since gained sentience and had a strange mind. Therefore, it shared the same bed with Hua Tiandu. Therefore, it wouldn't warn Hua Tiandu. Therefore, for a moment, neither Feng Han nor Hua Tiandu had thought that there was a problem with the key of wilderness god, and they were still fighting over other treasures in the Tianwu treasury. However, even if the Mirage King and the first origami told Feng Han and Hua Tiandu, it would not be a big deal. Fang Qingshan wasn't alone, so he didn't care about Hua Tiandu at all. At most, he had a talisman given to him by Supreme Emperor Heaven. To Qiongqi, even Supreme Emperor Heaven itself wasn't enough, let alone a talisman. Although Feng Han had the human emperor brush and had cultivated to the state of being one with the heavens, which was a realm that only a destinable artifact could reach, he was still a distance away from Xiongqi in a real fight. With the protection of the mirror of Zhu Wu and Xiongqi, as long as he wasn't besieged by people like Venerable Ling Long, Fang Qingshan wasn't afraid of being disturbed for a while. Even so, Fang Qingshan also knew that he couldn't stay in this place for long. He had to speed up the refining and devouring process. Many books had recorded that the main character's counterattack against the villain was because he was too slow. If he could solve the problem in the first place, there wouldn't be so many chances to turn the tables. Fang Qingshan didn't want to become a negative example. Therefore, in order to refine the key of wilderness god as soon as possible, he was ready to go all out. Heavens above, eternal life, among the 3,000 great Taoists, destiny is number 1. I communicate with the supreme destiny with the power of destiny. The world tree should reappear. Almighty Destiny, you communicate with destiny. You are an omnipotent existence. The fate of the key of wilderness God has long been decided. It should be devoured by the world tree. The power of destiny permeates the endless space-time. It is omnipresent. Light can't shine through it, and darkness can't cover it. Those who try to defy destiny will be punished by destiny. Good heavens! Fang Qingshan first burned 5,000 years of his lifespan to find a way to break the weak water formation. Then, he burned another 10,000 years of his lifespan to communicate with the world tree and break the mirror of Zuwu. Now, he burned 100,000 years of his lifespan to strengthen the world tree and the key of wilderness God so that they could devour and refine faster. Although the key of wilderness God didn't resist, it still had the foundation of an immortal artifact. The world tree was no different from it in essence, but its power was far inferior. Therefore, before using the little destiny skill, the world tree could only devour the key of wilderness God at the speed of sound. However, with the blessing of destiny, the speed instantly became the speed of light. Kacha, kacha! However, he heard the sound of a whale swallowing the sea. As the immeasurable world tree's origin power devoured, there was also endless pure yang power. The limitless star palace's pure yang ocean was formed by the everlasting chaos diagram, an immortal artifact, devouring the immortal world chi. How could the effects of the world tree be compared to the boundless chaos diagram, even if it was just a part of its trunk? Within the space of the world tree, the pure yang energy was no longer in the form of gas or liquid, but solid. Mountains that contained a huge amount of pure yang crystals stretched across the void, and pure yang heavy water flowed in continuously. Then they gathered together, compressed, and turned into crystals that were even purer than the pure yang pill. Although Fang Qingshan's world tree could also steal the immortal world's essence energy before he broke through to the longevity secret realm, it was just a petty thief. As for the key of wilderness God, it was like a robber directly plundering. At every moment, liquid immortal world's essence energy would gush down, forming an ocean. Below the ocean, there was a huge array that purified the liquid. Only the pure yang energy was left, and the other impurities were all expelled, transported to some unknown space. However, after the plundering of the pure yang ocean, Fang Qingshan had seen the world and was not moved by the pure yang energy at all. He was now completely immersed in the feedback of the world tree. Although the world tree had been cut down by the Protoss Sacred King, and even half of the branch had been moved back to the Void God world, the world tree had not been completely destroyed. However, the world tree was not completely obliterated. All kinds of imprints were scattered across the heavens. As the newly grown world tree devoured more origin energy, as the world tree grew, the scattered imprints would continuously gather. This was the inheritance of the world tree. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.